Chapter 4979. It's you, it's you. Seeing the huge finger shooting over, the toad kept shouting. Then, ignoring Lin Ling and the 12-winged young god, it jumped into the sky and went straight to the crater of the volcano. It looked as if it had met its natural enemy. What's going on? The 12-winged young god was dumbfounded. Lei Gong and the others also flew over. They wanted to help, but after seeing this scene, they were also dumbfounded. Previously, they had wanted to leave, but when they heard the rumbling behind them, they immediately sensed that the 12-winged young god was in trouble. The opponent was a powerful toad. Most importantly, they saw with their own eyes that even the 12-winged young god's sword couldn't cut the toad. This made them clear that the toad's strength was definitely the strongest among the saint-level universe gods. However, at that time it was impossible for them not to help. However, Lin Ling was faster than them. He turned into a giant and scared the toad away with one finger. It must be known that even if Lin Ling's finger landed on the toad and caused it to escape with serious injuries, they could still accept it. However, that finger didn't land on the toad at all. And they all felt that the finger couldn't hurt the toad. Without a doubt, everyone was in a state of confusion. On the contrary, Lin Ling slowly shrank and returned to his usual appearance as he walked towards everyone. Lin Ling. The 12-winged young god was the most shocked, so he immediately asked. Lin Ling immediately shook his head. He naturally knew what the 12-winged young god wanted to ask. In fact, he also knew that he was no match for the toad. He had just made a bet, but he didn't expect that he would be right. That was because the toad was the one imprisoned in the ancient coffin on the first level. At that time, other than the toad, there were also the black ox, the golden ox, and other creatures. These monsters had been imprisoned in the ancient coffin for too long and were suppressed by Panga's finger. They had long been in awe of Panga's finger. Previously, Lin Ling had gambled that the toad would be afraid of Panga's finger and flee like a frightened bird. Fortunately, Lin Ling made the right bet. I don't know how to explain it either. I can only say that the toad is very afraid of my finger. Lin Ling had no choice but to explain. Hearing this, everyone was confused. The 12-winged young god's eyes flashed. She knew that Lin Ling must have something he couldn't say, so she was too embarrassed to ask any more. All right, goodbye. Seeing that the 12-winged young god was no longer in danger, Lin Ling left with Lei Gong and the others. The 12-winged young god looked at the backs of Lin Ling and the others with flickering eyes. Previously, she thought that Lin Ling and the others were deliberately mystifying things, but now it seemed that she was overthinking things. Furthermore, she had previously guessed that there was someone at the bottom of the volcano. In fact, it wasn't Lin Ling and the others, but the universe's #1 toad. Lin Ling. Thinking of this, the 12-winged young god shouted. Lin Ling and the others stopped and looked at the 12-winged young god suspiciously, thinking that the latter was seriously injured and needed their protection. I'll give you this blood-stained Ganoderma. At this moment, the 12-winged young god took out one of the blood-stained Ganoderma and placed it on the ground. I don't want to owe anyone a favor. Then she smiled. Lin Ling and the others looked at each other and shook their heads with a smile. No need. We owed you last time. Let's use this blood-stained Tai Sui to repay it. Hearing this, the 12-winged young god was even more certain that she had wronged Lin Ling and the others. After all, if Lin Ling and the others' goal was the blood-stained Tai Sui, they could take it away now. There was no need to say anything more. What happened last time was an accident. I can let it go. After all, you have a grudge with Emperor Yao. Although you violated the rules, you didn't attack the Sun God clan. I can understand all of this. The 12-winged young god shook her head and smiled. So, you don't owe me anything. Instead, I owe you my life. I'll use this blood-stained Tai Sui to make up for it. Hearing this, Lin Ling no longer pretended. After all, if he didn't accept it, it meant that the 12-winged young god's life was inferior to the blood-stained Tai Sui. Let's leave this place. Seeing Lin Ling walk over, the 12-winged young god looked at the sky, afraid that the toad would appear again. Lin Ling was the same. He had only scared the toad away before. How could he be a match for the toad? Everyone walked along the bottom of the volcano. Along the way, they encountered a lot of fleshy Tai Sui. They were all picked by them and finally cultivated in a cave in the distance. The 12-winged young god was poisoned and needed time to detoxify. Lin Ling and the others had obtained a large amount of Tai Sui and could further improve their talent. Lin Ling, the blood-stained Tai Sui on the second level is probably gone. The rest are ordinary Tai Sui Ganoderma, which won't be of much help to you. If you want to improve your strength, you'll probably have to go to the third level. The 12-winged young god sat down cross-legged and looked at Lin Ling and the others. The Tai Sui Ganoderma could improve a god's divine fetus, but the effect would weaken each time it was used. In the end, the effect was close to nothing. Otherwise, no one would go to the third level. If they crazily improved their divine fetus on the second level and then went to the first level to find cultivation treasures, they would be able to improve their divine power. Yes, I also noticed that there are very few blood-stained Tai Sui on this level. Lin Ling nodded. He couldn't smell any blood-stained Tai Sui. Even if there were, they were extremely weak and belonged to the stage of growth. Everyone, let's cultivate. Then, Lin Ling took out Tai Sui flowers and burned them with his divine essence. Ordinary Tai Sui burned faster, but the effect was not as good as the blood-stained Tai Sui. However, Lin Ling and the others had a lot, so they didn't want to waste them. Everyone entered a state of cultivation and crazily increased their strength. When the 12-winged young god saw that she was enveloped by the light of the Tai Sui, she didn't want to take advantage of Lin Ling, so she also took out some Tai Sui flowers to cultivate. As time passed, the ordinary Tai Sui Ganoderma was burned to nothing, leaving only the blood-stained Tai Sui. The blood-red light enveloped the cave. Fortunately, the cave was big enough, so the red light didn't leak out. Moreover, the cave was also sealed by Lin Ling and the others to prevent them from being disturbed during cultivation. However, there weren't many demons under the volcano, and even if there were, they were incomparably powerful. Therefore, if Lin Ling and the others weren't discovered, there would definitely be an earth-shattering battle. Time passed quietly just like that. Everyone's strength increased greatly, and Yu and the others' talents all entered the ranks of the 9th-grade higher gods. The power of the Eastern Emperor Bell that Saint Guy controlled greatly increased. Sakra's divine fetus also crazily advanced. After a long time, everyone entered the ranks of the giant gods of the universe, and the treasures they obtained on the first level were all used up. Lin Ling, on the other hand, was still cultivating. However, his 8 divine embryos had all transformed and reached the peak of high god divine embryos. Chapter 4980. Even though he had not broken through, Lin Ling's cultivation had become more stable. His strength had increased by more than 20%. Most importantly, Lin Ling could clearly sense the power of the world's will. This mysterious power was hidden in his soul and was growing stronger at every moment. This was the power of faith. In the past, Lin Ling could only control this power when he was on the brink of death. But now, he could clearly feel the power of faith. This feeling was like the clouds parting to see the blue sky. The divine fetus is also the key to controlling the power of the world's will. However, the power of the world's will is too mysterious. I guess there are many conditions to control it. Let's see if I can completely control it. Lin Ling was secretly delighted as he continued to search for the power in the depths of his soul. What surprised Lin Ling was that the power did not seem to be huge. It was only a light spot about the size of a finger. Compared to the majestic soul power, it was like a cow's hair. However, this power was extremely powerful and exceeded most of the powers that Lin Ling possessed. Found it. As he continued to probe, Lin Ling became excited. He tried to touch the light spot for the first time. In the beginning, the light spot rebounded Lin Ling's consciousness. But gradually, Lin Ling's consciousness merged with it. After entering the light spot, Lin Ling seemed to have entered another universe. In this universe, he saw countless figures and all of them knew Lin Ling. There was Lei Gong. There was Holy Unification. There was Yu. They sat cross-legged and there was a blinding light shining in their bodies. Besides Lei Gong and the rest, Yi Han also saw Great Emperor Xuanxia, Great Emperor Jun, and Emperor Shun. They also had light on their bodies. But compared to Lei Gong and the rest, it was much dimmer. Even the Yellow Emperor had it. Could this be the power of the world's will? Lin Ling was shocked. He checked again and saw his grandfather, Lin Yi, and the others. They were all glowing with light that was as blinding as Yu and the others. Moreover, Lin Ling discovered that everyone in the Lin Ling universe had this kind of light in their bodies. It was just that it was dimmer than Lei Gong's. Lin Ling felt as if he was in a great universe. Looking at the entire Lin Ling universe from afar, he discovered that the entire universe was filled with resplendent light. It was like a vast expanse of stars twinkling in the starry sky. So much, it's all the power of the world will. Lin Ling was excited. His consciousness stealthily tried to control them, but he discovered that he could mobilize these lights. At the same time, the power of the world's will within Lin Ling's soul began to move. It appeared in Lin Ling's palm, transforming into a sword of faith. Lin Ling stood up and looked at the sword in his hand in shock. Success! For the first time, he summoned the sword of faith even though he wasn't in a life-or-death situation. Brother Ling. Only Yu and Yuer, and a few others were at the side. Seeing Lin Ling suddenly stand up with a white light sword in his hand, all of them were extremely shocked. However, Lin Ling's sword didn't give them any sense of danger. This is Brother Ling's power of the world will? Yu said in shock. She had seen Lin Ling activate this sword before. It was extremely powerful, and no god could block it. Yes. Lin Ling nodded happily. Yu and the others also laughed excitedly. This was the first time they saw Lin Ling activate this sword as he wished. This sword can even kill a giant god of the universe easily. Why can't we sense any powerful force? Yuer asked curiously. Because this sword contains your faith. Lin Ling looked at the sword in his hand and explained. This sword was, in fact, the condensation of the power of everyone who believed in Lin Ling. Yu and the rest naturally couldn't sense the pressure. This sword of mine is constantly getting stronger. It's constantly getting stronger, giving me the ability to fight against a giant god of the universe. Lin Ling stroked the sword and felt the power on the sword. Faith. Invincible. This was the power of this sword. It was a pity that there weren't many people who believed in Lin Ling. Moreover, this power of faith wasn't very strong. Where's everyone? Lin Ling kept the sword of faith and looked at everyone. They're exploring the bottom of the volcano. Now, everyone's strength has increased. Other than the few of us, they've all reached the level of giant gods of the universe. Yu smiled. Let's go and take a look. Lin Ling smiled and left with Yu and the rest. After a long time, at a corner of the bottom of the volcano, everyone gathered there and attacked a huge lizard. This lizard seemed to be the Lizard King and was extremely powerful. But Lei Gong and the rest were much stronger. Working together, they suppressed the huge lizard. Moreover, the 12-winged young god didn't attack at all. He just watched with a smile from the side. Lin Ling is here. Lei Gong and the rest also noticed Lin Ling's arrival. They were all very happy. Lin Ling stared at the huge lizard and nodded with satisfaction. In terms of strength, this lizard is considered an amazing existence among the king-level giant gods of the universe. Although you guys are working together, at least it proves that ordinary king-level giant gods of the universe can't compare to it. You guys are much stronger. What he said didn't include Lei Gong and the rest. After all, they were world wills and were much stronger. Hee hee. Sakura and the rest rubbed the back of their heads and laughed with incomparable pride. To be acknowledged by Lin Ling was undoubtedly an extremely rare thing. At this moment, a huge rotten rock suddenly fell from the sky. Everyone, be careful. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu was the first to investigate and shouted. Everyone dodged and watched the rotten rock fall to the ground. Gradually, they fell silent at the bottom of the volcano. There's rotten rock here too? Lin Ling looked up curiously and realized that from here, he could vaguely see a small piece of the sky. It seemed that it was because of this reason that the rotten rock would fall. At the bottom of the volcano, only this place has rotten rock falling, and the ground in this area is beginning to change into a swamp. The 12-winged young god explained. Lin Ling nodded and stared at the sinking rotten rock. His eyes suddenly lit up and he smiled. We've been away from home for a long time. It's time to go back and take a look. Who's coming with me? Yeah. We haven't been back for a long time. There's rotten rock here. I'm going back. I want to see little you. It's been a long time. I'm going back too. Treasure god Nanwu Fengyu and the rest immediately nodded. Lei Gong, Xiaoluan, and Longyang didn't intend to go back. They continued to cultivate at the bottom of the volcano. Okay, we can go back. Yu and the others were all very happy when they heard that they were going home. They had been in the Tao realm for many years and had experienced life and death several times. Naturally, they wanted to go back and take a look. Lin Ling was the same. Of course, Lin Ling had another reason, and that was to accumulate more faith and improve the power of faith. Previously, he had used the power of faith to investigate and saw that the Linling universe had begun to appear heavenly tribulations, great demons and other things, so he planned to go back and subdue them. You guys go back. We'll stay here. Anyway, I still need to heal. The 12-winged young god looked at Linling and the others and said. He knew that if Linling and the others returned, they would still have to go through the rotten rock. At that time, they would need to take action and summon the rotten rock. Chapter 4981. Using the Tao Return celestial position, Linling and the others appeared in the vast universe. We're back. Yu and the others sensed the familiar smell. Their bodies trembled, feeling as if they hadn't returned for many years. For a moment, no one moved, quietly looking at the universe. In their minds, memories flowed, as if they had been covered in dust for many years, pouring into their hearts. Becoming a god, this was everyone's extravagant wish. But who knew that the lifespan of a god was too long, so long that it caused many beautiful memories to dim? If they hadn't returned this time, perhaps the memories left here would have been even dimmer until they disappeared. That feeling of the past was incomparably precious. No one wanted to lose it. We're back. Linling returned more times than Yu and the others, so his memory didn't weaken. Instead, because he controlled the Linling universe, this memory kept growing stronger. It seems that I have to find a time to absorb the void of Jianghu and the myriad of worlds into the Linling universe. Linling muttered to himself. The memories left by this universe were actually Lei Gong's main hall, grandfather, and the others. The place that truly left him with memories that couldn't be erased was actually the myriad of worlds, the void of Jianghu. If I can conquer the void of Jianghu, my power of faith will definitely increase. But before that, I have to let them know that I, Linling, am a person. Linling's gaze fell. The entire Linling universe emitted endless starlight. That was the power of faith. This invisible power poured into Linling's body, turning into the power of faith, making Linling's world's will power even stronger. Linling, let's go. At this time, treasure god Nanwu Fengyu smiled. Linling immediately nodded and led everyone out. The surrounding scene changed, and they immediately returned to the Lei Gong's main hall. Linling, you're back. Ah, isn't that Sakura? You're finally back. You're so ruthless, not coming back for so many years. Ling isn't like you, coming back occasionally. Haha, young Master Yao. Seeing the return of Linling and the others, everyone was incomparably happy, as if they had not seen each other for many years. In fact, they really hadn't seen Linling and the others for many years. At least close to 10,000 years. If it wasn't for the fact that Linling controlled the Linling universe and was able to create the great law of the universe, which made Ancestor Extreme Flame and the others immortal, they would have already turned into a pile of bones. Great-grandfather. Moreover, Linling also had many descendants. Under Linling's lead, they all rushed into the hall. Grandfather. Xiaoyu also brought her husband here to kneel before treasure god Nanwu Fengyu. Her husband was also a martial artist, but he had heard of Linling and the others. Now that he had seen them in person, he was extremely excited. In the Linling universe, there was no one who did not know the name Linling. They all knew that Linling was the only god in this universe. Greetings, great-grandfather Linling, great-grandmother Yu, great-grandmother Yu. Wow, those are legends. The rumors have been around for 10,000 years, but they are still alive. Where did they come from? Could it be that there are other universes besides the Linling universe? More and more people entered the hall. Those who were related to Linling by blood or the descendants of Linling's friends all knelt down at this moment. It was as if they had seen their ancestor. Linling was surprised. Taking a closer look, he realized that he had hundreds of juniors. And this did not include the collateral bloodline, otherwise there would be more. For example, his childhood playmates, the children of the Lin family, and the others had all come. However, even they had many descendants, but they were incomparably respectful to Linling, as if they had seen their ancestor. Rise, all of you. Linling took out a large number of treasures and distributed them to everyone as a greeting gift from an elder. Wow, this ginseng has such rich spiritual energy. Silly child. Hurry up and thank your ancestor. This is a divine ginseng that is rarely seen in 10,000 years. Our ancestor is indeed generous. Everyone was very happy. They were proud to be related to Linling by blood. Of course, as Linling's friends, They also received a lot of benefits. There was no doubt that today's Leigong Hall was bustling with noise and excitement. Of course, the news of Lin Ling's return was not spread out. It was only known to Lin Ling's relatives and friends. After a long time, Lin Ling finished entertaining everyone. He came to a balcony in the room and looked into the distance. He saw that they were in a huge city, and the Lin family was in the largest palace in the city. Standing in the palace, one could see the entire continent. With the city as the center, countless citizens and living beings continued to spread out. Fellow cultivators, come back. Lin Ling stepped into the void and smiled at the void. At the same time, there was a fluctuation in the void, and avatars walked out. They were Lin Ling's avatars. Congratulations on your return, fellow cultivator. They looked at Lin Ling and cupped their hands in salute. Thank you for your hard work. Now that my strength has increased, everyone can come back. Lin Ling also cupped his hands and bowed to everyone. Then, he took back his avatars. Suddenly, a large number of universal laws surged into Lin Ling's mind, causing his soul force to rise crazily. His comprehension of the Great Tao reached a new level. He had a feeling that he was just a little bit away from bringing Lin Ling's universe into the Tao Pagoda. If he could bring Lin Ling's universe into the Tao Pagoda, Lin Ling's strength would definitely double, or even triple. A moment later, Lin Ling felt that his soul force had doubled, reaching 1,000,000 steps. The power of the universe's 3 extremes destruction had increased greatly, and he could cultivate the last level. This surprised Lin Ling, and he hurriedly comprehended. He stood in the void like this, and unknowingly, 3 months had passed. Yu and the others didn't disturb Lin Ling because they were too busy themselves. Every day, they would visit their good friends. Treasure God Nanwu Fengyu and the others were the same. After disappearing for nearly 10,000 years, they had too much to say. Only when they returned here could they relax and not feel the pressure. They did not have to be afraid of the arrival of a strong enemy at any time. And this was also beneficial to their cultivation. This kind of relaxed days had undoubtedly greatly increased their strength, and their divine power had increased crazily. On the other side, Lin Ling was still comprehending the last level of the universe's 3 extremes destruction. This was the revolving extreme destruction. The 3 soul universes, demon subduing destruction, boundary origin destruction, and revolving extreme destruction combined to form a perfect soul universe. This great cosmos was also sealed by Fu Jie's great ray. A self-created universe. Lin Ling's body trembled in disbelief. All along, he had wanted to bring Lin Ling's universe into the Tao realm to fight against the enemy. However, Lin Ling's universe had yet to succeed. Instead, the universe's 3 extremes destruction had formed a soul universe, sealing all souls. To put it bluntly, this was also a universe, but it was a soul universe. Its power had increased by 3 times compared to before. It was estimated that among the king-level universe gods, there were only a handful who could block it. After a long time, Lin Ling opened his eyes, which were filled with excitement and anticipation. Chapter 4982. One had to know that after reaching Lin Ling's level, one's individual strength was very limited. Most of it was relying on ancient and powerful killing moves. Relying on one's individual strength, he could only be an ordinary giant god of the universe. The divine fetus was still important, but it was only related to the foundation and growth limit of a god. I didn't expect such a pleasant surprise. My physical body has undergone many years of improvement, plus I've obtained Panga's finger. It's time to cultivate the nascent soul Great Tao body. Lin Ling didn't leave. Instead, he cultivated his doppelgangers. Nascent soul Great Tao body. It took 3,000 years to sprout, 3,000 years to bloom, and 3,000 years to bear fruit. Now, Lin Ling had cultivated to the stage of blooming. After a long time, figures began to walk out from behind Lin Ling. There were a total of 9,000 people, and all of them were exactly the same as Lin Ling. As long as one's physical strength reached the standard, cultivating the nascent soul Great Tao body would become easier and easier. This 3,000 years to bear fruit meant 9,000 doppelgangers. Moreover, these doppelgangers had all of Lin Ling's strength. The only thing they didn't have were the 8 dantians, the power of faith, Panga's attack, and the 3 extreme breaks of the universe. However, these doppelgangers were the best among the high-level gods. Fellow Taoists, thank you for your hard work. Work harder. After the universe is stabilized, I might be able to bring the Linling universe into the realm of Tao. Linling said to the 9,000 doppelgangers. Don't worry, I'll do my best. All the doppelgangers looked at Linling and smiled. Then they walked into the void. Linling's body relaxed. He looked at the entire Linling universe. Then, he took a step and appeared in a sect in the next moment. Who's there? There were many experts in the sect. When they saw Linling, they were all on guard. Linling had his hands behind his back and a smile on his face. There was a divine light on his body, blocking those people from approaching. So powerful. Inform the sect leader immediately. Everyone said solemnly. Not long after, the sect's elders arrived. They were all extremely powerful and were low-level gods. Your Excellency, may I ask who you are and what brings you here? One of them asked seriously, already preparing to attack. Linling continued to smile and ignored him. When he walked past the elder, he said coolly, "Don't use your sword against me, or you'll regret it." What? The elder's expression changed greatly. He was already prepared to attack. He believed that this person could not see through his attack, but who would have thought that his every move could not escape this person's eyes? Most importantly, this person was very young, but he gave him a feeling of boundless grandeur. Sir, this is our sect. Regardless of whether you are a friend or a foe, the dignity of our sect cannot be insulted. Even if you are very strong, we still have to offend you. Please forgive us. Another old man said, openly wanting to attack Linling. Wait. However, at this moment, an anxious voice sounded. Following which, a middle-aged man appeared and stared at Linling. Following which, his expression changed drastically. Master. He suddenly knelt down and kowtowed. This middle-aged man was the disciple that Linling had brought back from the underworld. Master? The sect leader's master? Could he be the patriarch? Everyone was dumbfounded. Greetings, patriarch. Following that, everyone knelt down and kowtowed. Rise. Linling smiled slightly and looked at the sect leader. In fact, he had an impression of this person, but he had forgotten his name. After all, Linling had too many disciples. Even when teaching them, he rarely showed himself. Instead, he left his legacy for his disciples to comprehend. How much they could comprehend depended on their own luck. Of course, although he was a hands-off boss to these disciples, Linling was their great benefactor. Without Linling's help, they would have lived a mediocre life. They might even have died of old age. However, because of Linling, they soared into the sky. They were monstrous geniuses from a young age. They were invincible and created their own sects. You did not disappoint me. Linling stared at the sect leader and said, take these spiritual herbs for your cultivation. Also, distribute some to the disciples. Yes, master. The sect leader was extremely excited. He had only met his master twice in his life. The first time was when his master brought him to reincarnation. The second time was when his master brought him to this universe. However, even though it was only twice, he felt that Linling was extremely amiable and kind, as if they had known each other for thousands of years. Perhaps you don't know your master's name, but I'll tell you today. I am the master of this universe, Linling, and this universe is also called the Linling universe. Linling put his hands behind his back and looked at the sect leader indifferently. I know. The sect leader was even more excited. Blood rushed to his head. His master was indeed powerful. He was the lord of the universe. At this moment, he felt extremely proud to be Linling's disciple. Linling, the master of the universe, the only god. The others also looked at Linling in worship and kowtowed crazily. They were also proud to be Linling's disciples and grand-disciples. Okay, I'm going to see your senior and junior sisters. You can all gather again when the time comes. Linling smiled faintly and disappeared on the spot. Farewell, master. The sect leader kowtowed excitedly, and so did the entire sect. In their hearts, Linling was kind, holy, and omnipotent. He was the sky in their hearts. Linling suddenly came here for two reasons. First, to see his disciples. Second, to collect faith. He knew that everyone in this universe worshipped him. However, if he did not show up, the worship of others would be a little vague. Once Linling showed up, the worship would be even more and deeper. Linling appeared in a manner. This manor was incomparably powerful. There were as many strong people as there were clouds. When Lin Ling appeared, the manor master immediately kowtowed. He was also one of Lin Ling's disciples. Lin Ling nagged for a while, left the treasures, and left indifferently. Without a doubt, this also left behind a majestic figure, making more people worship him. Lin Ling went to see his disciples and collected faith. What surprised him was that his disciples were not weak. All of them had stepped into the ranks of mid-gods. However, Lin Ling's universe was limited, which caused their growth to slow down a lot. He had to improve Lin Ling's universe. After meeting all his disciples, Lin Ling went to accept disciples again. As long as their talent was not bad, he would take them in and leave behind the inheritance of divinity. Moreover, he also stabilized all kinds of natural dangers in the universe and eradicated overly powerful demonic beasts. After doing all these, Lin Ling would leave his name to let everyone know that there was actually a god above their heads. This god was Lin Ling. Moreover, this god had always been protecting them, leading them to prosperity and power. This also caused Lin Ling to become the faith of even more people. There was no one who did not worship him. No matter how great the danger was, these people proudly stepped through it because they believed that the god would protect them. Chapter 4983. There was a ripple in the void, and a thin stream of spiritual energy rushed towards Lin Ling. The land of the 9 prefectures flowed into his eyes. Far away, the universe shone brightly, and thousands of worlds floated there like the Milky Way. He had arrived at the 9 prefectures void. Looking at the 9 prefectures void, Lin Ling's expression changed slightly. A long-lost feeling of nostalgia filled his mind. This was where Lin Ling grew up. This was Lin Ling's real hometown. Lin Ling sensed that his soul force was slowly increasing. His comprehension of the great Tao of the universe was also increasing. Lin Ling had fought too many battles in this ancient universe. Now that he was back, Lin Ling felt as though he had entered a strange state of enlightenment. North Border, sacred land of the rainforest. Lin Ling took a step and disappeared into the void. When he reappeared, he was already on an ancient continent. This was the sacred land of the rainforest, Lin Ling's real hometown. Unfortunately, the sacred land of the rainforest had been destroyed. Everything familiar to him was gone. Only the name and the air were the same. Humph, the Asakusa rain god is the true god of the sacred land of the rainforest. Your Luaha Empire is nothing. The Luaha Empire is the most powerful empire in the sacred land of the rainforest. But can it be compared to a god? Kill! Lin Ling stood on the land of the sacred land of the rainforest. He closed his eyes, and all the sounds of the land entered his ears. He automatically ignored some useless information. However, there wasn't much useful information. He only knew that the strongest martial god in the sacred land of the rainforest was the Asakusa rain god. Unfortunately to Lin Ling, no matter how strong the martial gods were, they were just ordinary people. They couldn't enter his eyes. Other than the Asakusa rain god, Lin Ling didn't see any familiar faces or voices. Sigh, so many years have passed. Everything is still the same, but the people have changed. Lin Ling sighed softly and returned to the most powerful place in the rainforest Holy Land. Unfortunately, his statue was no longer there. After that, Lin Ling went to the Heaven Mystics Kingdom. Unfortunately, this place was no longer called the Heaven Mystics Kingdom. It was called the Rain Country. However, everything was gone. Young hero, are you going to enter the city? May I know your name? When Lin Ling was about to enter through the gates of Rain Country, perhaps because of his extraordinary aura, a powerful cultivator asked with a smile. I'm Lin Ling. Lin Ling did not hide anything. Those experts were clearly stunned. Clearly, they did not recognize Lin Ling. In the end, they allowed Lin Ling to enter the city. What a strange person. He gives me an ethereal feeling, like a white cloud in the sky that can disappear at any time. However, when I carefully sense him, I can't sense any martial power on him. After Lin Ling left, those experts said in a strange tone. However, none of them were discussing Lin Ling's name. One had to know that Lin Ling was once a legend in the Rainforest Holy Land. Lin Ling entered Rain Country and walked around, hoping to find some familiar things, but in the end, he did not find anything. He shook his head and prepared to leave. Someone actually remembers me? Suddenly, Lin Ling's eyes lit up, and a smile appeared at the corners of his mouth. In a certain corner of Rain Country, he saw a family. This family lived a very poor life, but they believed in Lin Ling. In the living room of this family, there was a statue of Lin Ling. Although the statue was very blurry, Lin Ling could sense that there was a power of faith in the statue. Of course, this power of faith was also very weak. I didn't expect that after so many years, there would still be people who remember me. Lin Ling was somewhat moved. One had to know that he had left Lin Ling universe for several thousand years, not to mention the void of the 9 provinces. It was probably tens of thousands of years, or even 100,000 years. 100,000 years, a change of dynasties, a change of history, this was not difficult at all. Especially for mortals, 100,000 years was as long as the clouds and smoke. This family, their surname is Miao? I don't have the slightest impression of them. Lin Ling walked forward slowly, planning to pay them a visit. He came to the front door of this family and knocked lightly on the door. The dilapidated wooden door was opened, and a young man looked at Lin Ling suspiciously and asked, "Who are you looking for?" Lin Ling smiled slightly, but he could not answer. He pondered and said, "I'm looking for your patriarch." "You're looking for Grandpa?" This young man was very surprised. He looked up and down at Lin Ling, and saw that Lin Ling's eyes were clear, and did not look like a bad person. He stepped aside to let him pass. "Grandpa, someone is looking for you, probably for your heavenly book." The young man shouted toward the inner room. "What heavenly book? I don't have it. Tell him to get lost." An angry voice came from the inner room, booming like thunder. "Grandpa!" The young man frowned. "You're guarding the so-called heavenly book. What's the use of it? It can't be eaten, and it can't be cultivated, so you might as well hand it over early." "I don't know what heavenly book," I said. "I don't have it. Get lost, get lost." The old man in the inner room was extremely angry, and his voice was getting louder and louder. "Sigh, my grandpa is like this. He's old, but he's still an antique who believes in the things passed down by the ancestors. Ignore him." The young man looked at Lin Ling and said with a smile. Lin Ling shook his head. "Old people have their own reasons. Sometimes, young people don't know what has happened, so naturally, they don't know what the old people are thinking." The young man's eyes flashed. He did not understand what Lin Ling was talking about. He said with a smile, "If you want to see Grandpa, just go to the inner room, but he has a bad temper, so please forgive him." After saying that, the young man strode away. Lin Ling could see that this family was not doing well, and they were very poor. Then, he walked toward the dilapidated house, but just as he reached the door, a pillow was thrown at him. "Get lost, you don't have the heavenly book. Get lost, get lost, get lost. You come asking me every day, so annoying. If I knew the heavenly book, I would have become a martial god long ago, and you wouldn't have the chance to be so arrogant." An old man was sitting there angrily, smoking an opium pipe. There was a table next to him, and there was a vague statue on it. After the old man cursed angrily, he saw that there was silence outside, so he thought that the person who came had been scared away by him. He immediately sneered and said, "If you don't believe me, why do you keep sending people to inquire?" "Humph, it's because you value the things left behind by the ancestors. You're also a despicable and shameless person." As he said that, his eyes suddenly focused. That was because a young man was standing in front of the statue with his hands behind his back, looking at the statue indifferently. The young man had delicate features and was wearing a blue and white robe. However, his eyes were like stars, making it hard for people to forget him. For some reason, after seeing the young man, the old man's anger subsided a lot. He was shocked. When did the young man come in? So many years have passed. I didn't expect that someone in the rainforest sacred land still remembers him. That's very rare. The young man was Lin Ling. He sighed and said, "It's a pity that people only pay attention to the present and completely forget that without the protection of the ancestors, there would be no peace today." Hearing that, the old man's expression changed, and he agreed. That's right. People today only know that the rain god Asakusa saved the rainforest sacred land, but they don't know that there was a legend who saved the rainforest sacred land time and time again. If it weren't for that legend, we wouldn't be here today, and there would be no rain god Asakusa. Chapter 4984. Ha ha, a great lucky chance. Young man, although you are to my liking, I, Miao Shan, have seen everything in my life. The great lucky chance you speak of is useless to me." The old man laughed. Lin Ling also smiled. "Speak, who are you? Why are you guarding this statue? Does it have any meaning to you?" There is indeed a cultivation method in the statue, but it is only a very ordinary cultivation method. Hearing this, the old man's complexion changed. "If you know that there is a cultivation method in the statue, then why have I searched for so many years without finding anything? You need a special method to see it." Lin Ling shook his head and said, "Of course, it is only a mediocre cultivation method. It is not worth mentioning. Tell me who you are." "Mediocre?" The old man's pupils shrank, and he almost cursed out loud. This was a heavenly book passed down from generation to generation. The entire rainforest Holy Land was searching for this cultivation method. Even the Asakusa rain god was searching for it. This was because in the rumors, this cultivation method was left behind by the #1 legend of the rainforest Holy Land. Unfortunately, in this world, there were very few people who knew of the #1 legend. They only knew that his Miao family had a mysterious cultivation method. "Very well, since you are so fated, then I will speak. My Miao family is an ancient descendant of the 7 profound martial house, and I am the 3620th generation martial house master." As he said this, the old man's face was filled with pride. "Grandfather, don't brag. What 7 profound martial house? I have never heard of it. Now, we have a problem eating. What martial house master?" At some unknown time, a young man was standing at the door, his face full of disdain. "Smelly brat, what do you know?" In the past, when the 7 profound martial house was glorious, countless people wanted to worship them as their master. Moreover, our rainforest Holy Land's #1 legend came from the 7 profound martial house. The old man was suddenly angry. Because of this topic, their descendants had quarreled. But Lin Ling's pupils shrank. 7 profound martial house. Many years of dusty memories flooded into his mind. In his life, Lin Ling had entered countless sects and schools to cultivate. One of them was the 7 profound martial house. If this old man hadn't mentioned it, Lin Ling wouldn't have remembered. Lin Ling had never thought that after so many years, he would actually meet a descendant of the 7 profound martial house. "All right, since you and I, Lin Ling, are fated, I'll give you a great opportunity." Lin Ling's mood suddenly became better. Perhaps it was because he had finally met an old friend in the rainforest. "Haha, young man, you're still boasting." Unfortunately, the old man didn't believe him. His grandson kept rolling his eyes. His grandfather was crazy, but he didn't expect this young man to be crazy as well. He actually believed his grandfather's nonsense. As an old man, it was normal for him to brag a little. Of course, that young man didn't even bother to prepare a draft when he bragged. He was very impressive. "Senior Miao, how is it? Where is the heavenly book?" At this moment, laughter suddenly came from outside the house, causing the old man's expression to change. He angrily cursed, "What a stubborn bastard!" Without waiting for him to speak, 3 people walked in. The leader was a middle-aged man, and behind him were 2 men. One of the men coldly said, "Senior Miao, as long as you hand over the heavenly book, we will give you whatever you want." "You can keep the heavenly book. What use is it? It cannot be cultivated. It is better to let Lord Rain God meditate on it. Our Lord Rain God has always been sincere about ancient cultivation methods. This is your chance." "Rain God." Before the old man spoke, his grandson's complexion instantly changed. "That's right. Senior Miao has always thought that we were not sincere enough. So today, our Lord Rain God has personally come." One of the men proudly smiled and pointed at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man had a faint smile on his face, but he had a majesty that looked down upon the world. This was because he was the #1 god of the rainforest's holy land. "I only want to meditate, I don't want your heavenly book," the middle-aged man lightly said. "Humph, you people call yourselves gods. Aren't you very fierce? Why do you want to meditate on cultivation methods left behind by the ancients? This is just slapping your own face." The old man suddenly sneered. "How bold!" The 2 people beside the rain god said angrily at the same time. The old man was not afraid at all. He lightly said, "I have already said that I don't know where the heavenly book is. Even if I did know, I would not give it to you. Senior Meow, I think that I have been very polite to you. I gave you a few years to think about it, but you are very disrespectful to me. The rain god was still smiling, but his voice was obviously displeased. Grandpa, this is the rain god. The old man's grandson reacted at this moment and was extremely excited. He knelt down and bowed to the rain god. Greetings, Senior Rain God. My grandpa is a little crazy. You don't have to pay attention to him. The rain god was a legend in the rainforest's holy land. Even the most indomitable powerhouses might not have the opportunity to see him, let alone him. Now that he could see him with his own eyes, he felt extremely honored. The rain god nodded at the young man and looked at the old man again. How is it? I am giving you a great opportunity. Do you want it? However, at this moment, Lin Ling's voice floated out. The entire room fell silent. Can't you see that the rain god is talking? Where did this stupid young man come from? Does he know the rules? Ha ha ha. The old man let out a loud laugh. He was laughing at Lin Ling's ignorance, but ignoring the rain god made him feel very happy. Yes, yes, yes. Of course I want it. Then the old man nodded and said. He naturally did not care about Lin Ling's great opportunity. He was just playing along with Lin Ling to anger the rain god and the others to death. As expected, the rain god and the other two's faces turned cold. Brat, you have no respect for your elders. Get out of here. The rain god said coldly. He was very displeased with Lin Ling because not only did Lin Ling not worship him, he even dared to ignore him. Can't you see that I am talking to this old man? Since when is it your turn to speak? However, Lin Ling did not even look at him. Instead, his voice became cold. What? Everyone, including the old man, widened their eyes in shock. He thought that Lin Ling was ignorant and ignored the rain god. He did not expect that not only did this young man dare to ignore him, he even dared to threaten him. Do you know what you are talking about? The rain god had never met such a person in his life. Get lost. Unfortunately, Lin Ling still ignored him and waved his sleeve. Whoosh! A gust of wind surged out and a powerful force rushed towards the rain god and the other two, blowing them out of the room and smashing them to the ground with 3 bangs. Silence. Dead silence. The number 1 god of the rainforest holy land was actually chased out by a young man with a wave of his hand. Wasn't the rain god the number 1 expert of the rainforest holy land? The old man's pupils were trembling, and he was so scared that he stopped breathing. Too strong. What was going on? You, who are you? The old man did not dare to laugh anymore and asked in a trembling voice. Lin Ling. Lin Ling looked at the old man calmly, his eyes meeting the old man's. Lin Ling. Chapter 4985. The ancient room was extremely silent. The old man stared at Lin Ling. His grandson also stared at Lin Ling with a pale face. Lin Ling smiled and pointed at the old man with his right hand. A ray of golden light shot into the old man's forehead. I'll give you a great opportunity. As for the heavenly book in the statue, I don't need it. After saying that, Lin Ling walked to the front of the door and looked down at the people of rain god Asakusa outside. At this moment, the most powerful people in the rainforest holy land were stunned. They were all dumbfounded and could not say a word. You are the number 1 god in the rainforest holy land? Lin Ling looked at him calmly. Who are you? The rain god Asakusa asked solemnly. He realized that he could not see through this young man. Lord Rain God, he attacked you sneakily. If you were prepared, he would not have been able to get away with it. The 2 people beside him kept saying. They were very confident in the rain god Asakusa. After all, the strongest person they had seen since they started learning martial arts was the rain god Asakusa. In their hearts, no, in the hearts of the entire rainforest holy land, the rain god Asakusa was invincible. I am the number 1 god in the rainforest holy land. Who are you? The rain god Asakusa asked majestically. I'm just a passerby. Lin Ling smiled and shook his head with his hands behind his back. You are the number 1 god, right? As soon as he finished speaking, a powerful aura pressed down on them. Bang, bang, bang. Even though he did not attack, the aura was too strong. It instantly pressed the 3 of them to the ground. They could not stand up, and they felt like they were suffocating. I am now suppressing you. Do you admit defeat, Number 1 God? Lin Ling's voice appeared in their minds at the same time. The three of them did not speak. They resisted the aura with all their might. However, it was useless. Crack, 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 crack. Their flesh and blood were trembling. Rumble. Even their dantians were about to explode. I am suppressing you. Do you admit defeat? Lin Ling's voice sounded again. Yes, yes, yes. We admit defeat. In the end, the rain god Asakusa roared. He knew that if he continued to refuse, the three of them would be crushed. At least you know your place. Lin Ling nodded and took a step forward. He walked past the three of them and walked towards the door. The small courtyard instantly fell silent again. Only the rain goddess Asakusa and the other two were lying on the ground, panting heavily. Sweat was dripping from their foreheads like rain. In that short period of time, the three of them felt as if they had taken a trip to hell. He was too strong, so strong that they couldn't see through him. It was as if they were facing the heavens. Lord Rain God. And at the door, the old man's grandson stood there, trembling as he looked at the three people on the ground. It was as if he had seen the most unbelievable thing in his life. The legendary Asakusa Rain God was defeated by a passerby with a single glance, and he had to admit defeat 3 times. Who exactly was this passerby? Who is he? After a long while, the rain god Asakusa and the other two got up. Their faces were pale, and their foreheads were still covered in cold sweat. He is Lin Ling, the owner of the stone sculpture in my house. He is also the most ancient legend in the rainforest, rain god. Compared to him, you are like the hair of a cow. You are not qualified to be compared to him. However, at this moment, an old voice sounded at the same time. At the door, an old man was standing there with his hands behind his back, looking at everyone calmly. However, his eyes were filled with excitement. Thinking about what had happened before, he felt that if he was reincarnated, he would be able to become a human again. Lin Ling. When the rain god Asakusa heard this, his heart exploded. As the most powerful god in the rainforest, he had naturally heard of Lin Ling's name. He had even traveled all over the rainforest and found buildings related to Lin Ling in some ancient ruins. However, he had always thought that Lin Ling was just an ancient person. Although he had contributed to the rainforest, his methods were definitely exaggerated. At least, the rain god Asakusa thought that he was not much weaker than the most ancient legend. But now, he finally knew the difference between them. In front of the most ancient legend, he was like a child. Lin Ling. The old man looked into the distance and suddenly kowtowed 3 times. However, the rain god Asakusa sensed that the old man, who was originally as weak as a mortal, was now not much weaker than him. In less than half an hour, he has cultivated an expert who is not weaker than me. The rain god Asakusa laughed bitterly, feeling extremely ashamed. He looked at the old man's grandson, who was standing there in a daze for a long time without saying a word. Suddenly, he looked at the sculpture in the house and suddenly felt that there was indeed such a powerful person in the legends. He was wrong. He should have believed in his grandfather. At this moment, Lin Ling left the rainforest sacred land step by step. There was nothing left for him to stay here. He arrived at Jianghu in 1 step and looked at Jianghu. What made him feel helpless was that Jianghu had changed a lot. His former friends were all dead. The third princess, his master in Yuzhou, and so on. However, their descendants were still around, and they still knew what kind of person Lin Ling was. Back then, when I asked them to come to Lei Gong's hall, they didn't come. Otherwise, they wouldn't have exhausted their lifespans. Sigh. Perhaps this is their fate. Lin Ling sighed softly. He stepped out and arrived at a palace. The palace was ancient and located in Jianghu. It was the third princess palace. However, after her death, the Azure Emperor of Jianghu was no longer the third princess. Thus, the third princess bloodline gradually declined. Lin Ling went to the home of the third princess' only successor, left behind some treasures, and left. These treasures could greatly increase the third princess successor's strength, but they wouldn't allow him to soar to the heavens. This was because the treasures had their limits. If the third princess successor's willpower was exceptional, he could activate the treasures again and increase his strength again. If his goal wasn't high and he only wanted to live a carefree life, the treasures would be sealed forever. After that, Lin Ling also found the successor of his master, the Sea of Constellations, and left behind some treasures. What is this? Is there a deity helping us? Without a doubt, those who received the treasures were all very surprised. They subconsciously looked up at the sky. Unfortunately, they couldn't see anything. Lin Ling traveled the 9 prefectures. As long as it was an old friend's descendant, he would take care of them and resolve his worries. After a long time, he floated in the sky of the 9 prefectures and looked at the entire universe. I've done what I should do. I have no more regrets about the 9 prefectures void. Lin Ling felt his whole body relax. He activated his divine power and used a powerful method to move the 9 prefectures void. On this day, there was no more light in the 9 prefectures void. The sun and moon disappeared, and the 4 seasons disappeared. Everyone in the 9 prefectures thought that a great calamity had arrived. However, everything returned to normal very quickly. No one could understand. They didn't know that the 9 prefectures void had been moved by Lin Ling into Lin Ling's universe. Next is the 10,000 realms. 10,000 realms is relatively simple, but there are too many realms, so it's more troublesome. Lin Ling looked into the distance again and used a powerful method to move countless realms into Lin Ling's universe. Chapter 4986. Fellow Taoists, increase the great laws of the universe and stabilize the universe. Lin Ling's doppelganger continued to use the great laws to prevent Lin Ling's universe from collapsing. The arrival of the new laws that enveloped Jiuzhou's void and the myriad of worlds gradually stabilized. Gradually, Lin Ling's universe became bigger and bigger, and it was able to compete with the ancient universe. What's left is the void. Lin Ling looked at the vast void and knew that this was the most difficult part because there were too many laws in this void. He had to bring these laws into Lin Ling's universe, control these laws, and change these great laws. Let's begin. Lin Ling rested for a day and once again used a powerful technique to move out of the void universe. This move took a full year. During this year, Lin Ling's universe was in the void of Jiuzhou at first, but it gradually integrated into the void of Lin Ling's universe. The 2 universes gradually became indistinguishable from each other. However, the great laws of the 2 universes had to be merged, and this would take a long time. For example, spring, summer, autumn, and winter. For example, the netherworld of hell. Yu and the others also knew what Lin Ling was doing, so they waited quietly for Lin Ling. 3 years later, Lin Ling's universe was completely formed. It was even more magnificent and boundless. Except for Lin Ling, no one could reach the end of the universe. Lin Ling even noticed that after the 2 universes merged, there was a mysterious gas at the edge of the universe. This seemed to be the primordial qi. Unfortunately, even though Lin Ling was the lord of the universe, he couldn't control this terrifying primordial qi. Of course, with the primordial qi protecting the periphery, Lin Ling's universe was safer. It was difficult for others to break into Lin Ling's universe. I've finally succeeded. Lin Ling's universe no longer has any worries. Now, I only need to bring Lin Ling's universe with me at all times. I reckon it will take some time to reach this step. Lin Ling floated in the universe. Looking at the endless void, an excited smile appeared on his face. This Lin Ling universe will be one of the most powerful aids to Lin Ling in the future. Lin Ling. Brother Ling. At the same time, Yu and the rest flew over and looked at Lin Ling excitedly. Should we go back? Lin Ling said to them. Everyone nodded. After staying at home for so long, I suddenly missed those days of fighting. Let's go back. Nanwu Fengyu's eyes surged with battle intent. This was a desire to reach the peak of the universe, the peak of an era. They had already reached the peak of the universe, but they were still a bit away from the end, from eternity, and from being invincible in the universe. Then let's go back. Lin Ling informed Lei Gong and the others to summon the rotten stone. Everyone waited for a moment. Not long after, Lei Gong and the others' voices came. The rotten stone had appeared. Lin Ling and the others communicated with the Tao Reversion Celestial and immediately felt a strange feeling. In the next moment, they all disappeared from Lin Ling's universe. Rumble. Time seemed to have passed for a breath, but it also seemed like a century. Finally, a deafening sound came to their ears. When they looked again, they immediately saw the huge rotten stone beside them sinking into the ground. They were back. They were still under the volcano. Haha, Lin Ling, long time no see. After seeing Lin Ling, Lei Gong and the others all walked over happily. Lin Ling and the others had disappeared for many years. If it were an ordinary person, they would definitely feel a sense of unfamiliarity. Unfortunately, everyone present was a god. Not to mention a few decades, even a few hundred years was nothing. Your strengths have all increased. Lin Ling looked at Lei Gong and the others and said, "Yes, in the past decade, we have been fighting monsters at the bottom of the volcano with the 12-winged young god. Our strength has increased." Long Yang smiled and nodded. Her gaze swept across Lin Ling and the others and found that Lin Ling and the others' realm did not increase much, but their state of mind had improved. "You have also gained a lot." Long Yang immediately said. Lin Ling and the others all nodded. The state of mind was also related to the growth of a god. If there was a knot in the heart, their cultivation would be affected because of it. On the contrary, if they opened their mind and merged with the universe's great Tao, their realm would increase faster and they would comprehend more divine power. "Thank you, 12-winged young god." Then, Lin Ling looked at the blonde woman and said, "No need. I happen to need to detoxify myself. This place is very safe, so I will cultivate here." The 12-winged young god shook his head and smiled. "Lin Ling, we should go back." After a conversation, Lei Gong suggested. Lin Ling nodded and said to the 12-winged young god, "After this farewell, I don't know when we will meet again, but in the future, if there is anything we need help with, just say the word. We will definitely help." "Everyone is the same." The 12-winged young god nodded and exchanged voice transmission jade talismans with each other. Then they bid farewell and left. Lin Ling and the others left first. The 12-winged young god was still cultivating at the bottom of the volcano. Lin Ling and the others were running toward the Yellow Emperor. After they walked out of the volcano, they immediately attracted the attention of countless lizards below. They shook their bodies and attacked. However, Lin Ling and the others' strength had increased greatly. In addition, they were not as fearful as before, so they attacked and finally rushed out of the lizards' encirclement. Next they reached the swamp ocean. However, the ocean that had once blocked them did not affect them much now. Lin Ling no longer needed to be a boatman. Xianxi's Donghuang bell could now block those maggots. Xianxia led the group through the sky. Along the way, they encountered a Dao crocodile. Everyone attacked together, and before the Dao crocodile floated up, they immediately smashed it to the ground. Everyone moved forward like this, incomparably happy. It was as if the second level could no longer stop them. After a long time, they arrived at the hot spring area where the Yellow Emperor was. After asking around, they found out that the Yellow Emperor and the others had gone out to search for the Taisui Lingji. Lin Ling had someone send a voice transmission to the Yellow Emperor. Next, they waited quietly in the hot spring area. The days of waiting were undoubtedly the happiest days for everyone because everyone had abandoned cultivation. Every day, they drank wine and chatted wittily, living an incomparably happy life. Perhaps they all knew that they had conquered the second level, but after reaching the third level, a new battle would inevitably come. At that time, they would definitely not be as relaxed as they were now. The Dao Tower was the place that gods yearned for the most. Whoever could reach the top of the Dao Tower would be able to control the magnificent Dao realm and become the most ancient giant god of the universe in one step. After another period of time, the Yellow Emperor and the others finally returned. After some discussion, everyone decided to go to the third level. Now, apart from Lin Ling's group, the Yellow Emperor and the others' strength had greatly increased. Although the third level might have people from the rotten race eyeing it covetously. But if they wanted to become stronger, the third level was clearly the only path. This trip might be a narrow escape, but since everyone has chosen this path, they must be mentally prepared. The Yellow Emperor said to everyone. He was the person with the highest cultivation among them, so he had a feeling. Chapter 4987. Everyone nodded. In fact, many of them had a feeling that if they continued to advance to the third level, they would be in great danger. However, they still resolutely moved forward. There were no shortcuts on the road to becoming stronger. Danger was indispensable. Secondly, they also had a feeling that although the third level of the Dao Pagoda was dangerous, it was not certain that they would die. It was just a narrow escape. Even if it was their only life, they chose to fight. All right, everyone, get ready. The Yellow Emperor looked at the sky and punched out. The sky rumbled, and endless ripples bloomed. Then, a seemingly endless pile of rotten rocks fell down. Going to the third level requires 50 million Tao realm fragments. However, everyone has been on the second level for so long, so I guess you are all prepared. Now, use your celestial Tao restoration tablets. The Yellow Emperor's voice drifted out, and all the gods floated back to avoid the falling rotten stone. At this moment, everyone's emotions surged. Were they going to enter the third level? Rumble. The rotten stone did not touch any gods. After it fell to the ground, it gradually sank. Lin Ling and the others rushed to the edge of the rotten stone, took out their celestial Tao restoration tablets, and sensed the third level. The Tao realm fragments in their celestial Tao restoration tablets began to disappear. Brother Ling. Lin Ling. Yellow Emperor. At this moment, everyone looked at each other, nervous and excited. The third level was an unknown place. Except for a limited number of people, no one knew what dangers there were. Lin Ling, the third level is the city of myriad gods. After entering, everyone will be separated. Leave each other's voice transmission talismans and find an opportunity to gather together. The city of myriad gods is because the third level has 99 cities. Only by occupying a city can you obtain supreme resources and break through to the next level. Our only goal is to occupy a city. The Yellow Emperor's voice entered everyone's ears. Lin Ling and the others nodded. Their bodies were scattered, turned into endless light, and scattered like golden dust. A tornado swept out, carrying endless golden dust. It turned into a vortex and surged into the sky. From afar, the sky was bright and incomparably beautiful. Someone went to the third floor. I heard that it's even more cruel there. Endless deities gather there, and the great battle is incomparably intense. That is the divine battlefield. In the distance, everyone who witnessed this scene was incomparably envious. The four great ancient emperors, including the newly ascended Lin Ling, made a total of 5 ancient emperors. As they led their own people to the third level, the commotion was naturally huge. After a long time, the golden light gradually dissipated. On the third level, large amounts of golden light appeared. Apart from Lin Ling and the others, there were also gods from other places. The golden dust swirled around the ground like butterflies and gradually began to condense. The golden powder reassembled as if it was formed by the great laws of the universe. Before long, powerful deities descended one after another. Gods who had the confidence to reach the third level were all giant gods of the universe. Even if they were superior gods, they had the battle record of killing a giant god of the universe. Otherwise, no one would dare to come to the third level. This was because the third level could allow gods to grow faster, but it also meant that the danger was greater. Cities were the goal of all gods. Regardless of whether they joined or occupied, there would be great benefits. On an ancient hill, the golden powder condensed. After a few hours, it finally turned into a young man. And he was Lin Ling. Brother Ling. After Lin Ling appeared, many voices came from the voice transmission talisman. They were from Yu Yu, Lei Gong, and the others. Moreover, they had been shouting for more than 2 hours. I've entered. Lin Ling immediately replied to them. Lin Ling, your strength is too strong. Therefore, after entering, it took even longer to condense. Until now, Lord Yellow Emperor still hasn't arrived. He's still condensing. Ignored voices came at the same time. Lin Ling, where are you? I'm with Yu Yu, Emperor Shun, and the others. Emperor Jun's voice came at the same time. I'm with Lei Gong and the others. However, Emperor Xianxia seems to be alone. Voices came from the others one after another. Lin Ling looked around and smiled bitterly. I guess I'm alone now. It seems that the stronger the person, the more likely they are to be alone. I guess Lord Yellow Emperor was alone at the beginning. However, it's better if we meet up as soon as possible. Disregarding voices that could not be heard, they kept ringing out. Moreover, Lei Gong, Shangyi, and Sakra's voices kept coming. Apart from them, there were also many gods in the tombs of the 5 emperors. Lin Ling felt a headache coming. Because he was one of the 5 emperors, he was the pillar of support for everyone. Therefore, there were too many people contacting him. Right now, we're not familiar with this place. Let's figure out the location first and then think of a way to meet up. Lin Ling said after pondering for a while. Everyone responded. Lin Ling put away the voice transmission talisman and looked around. He realized that he was in a huge plain. In the distance, there were flashes of light from time to time. Large numbers of gods were flying. Compared to the first and second level, things here seemed to be more free. There were no natural dangers. City of myriad gods. Lin Ling remembered what the Yellow Emperor had said. He knew that the danger on this level was not from the Dao Pagoda, but from the gods themselves. Everyone is fighting for the city. What is so attractive about this city? Lin Ling secretly guessed as he walked down the hill. However, he discovered that the bottom of the hill was filled with tombstones. Tomb of the Sun Lord. Tomb of Tian Wu. Tomb of the Mad Wave Ancestor. The tombstone lay alone on the ground. Not far away, there was a huge snow maple tree. When the wind blew, countless snow maple flowers fell. The white petals scattered all over the ground and landed on the tombstone. It was as if they were telling of the glory of their master. The sea turned into mulberry fields, endless years. The former god of war, the god who created the world, now lay here forever. Cemetery? Lin Ling frowned and walked forward step by step. Then, he saw a small house beside the snow maple tree. An old man was planting vegetables beside the house. The old man's hair was white and his back was hunched. He looked old and senile, as if he would die of old age at any moment. His every movement was very slow, giving off a strange feeling. Lin Ling also noticed that this old man did not have any divine essence in his body. He was like a mortal. How could a mortal appear on the third level of the Dao Pagoda? Lin Ling was shocked. He walked down the hill, but the further he went, the more tombstones he saw. It was so grand that he couldn't see the end of it. Tombstones were inserted into the ground either vertically or diagonally, as if they were weapons. Lin Ling took a detour and walked along the tombstones toward the old man. Chapter 4988. That's right. Lin Ling nodded and didn't say anything else. He picked up the hoe beside him and helped the old man farm. During this process, the old man didn't say anything and continued to work swiftly. What a strange person. Although Lin Ling was farming, the suspicions in his heart grew even more. Young man, are you curious why there's an old mortal man like me in this land of gods? At this time, the old man finally spoke, but his tone wasn't as cold as before. It was more human. That's right. Lin Ling replied, not bothering to hide anything. I'm actually a tomb keeper responsible for guarding the tombstones here. I've seen many gods like you here, so I've long gotten used to it. I reckon it won't be long before the tombstones here have your name on them. The old man smiled. Lin Ling remained silent and continued to farm. The gods who die on the third level will enter the underworld and never be reincarnated. If they want to come back, they have to bring their Dao to the celestial realm into the underworld and protect their Dao to the celestial realm. Only then can they be reincarnated. After a full 2 hours, the old man muttered to himself, Dao to the celestial realm? Lin Ling's eyes flashed as he asked curiously, what happens to the things on a person's body after they die? If you can protect your Dao to the celestial realm, everything will be in your Dao to the celestial realm. If not, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The old man finally looked at Lin Ling and smiled, revealing his sparse teeth. After saying that, he put down the hoe, picked some vegetables, and went into the house to rest. If you want to rest, you can stay in the room next door for the night. The old man's voice came at the same time. Originally, Lin Ling wanted to leave. He believed that any god who came to the third level for the first time would definitely not want to see such inauspicious things. Moreover, he reckoned that Lin Ling would be the first to appear beside the tombstones. However, Lin Ling pondered and didn't leave in the end. He had a feeling that the Dao Pagoda had arranged for him to appear in the cemetery for a reason. Perhaps this was fate. That night, Lin Ling rested in the cemetery. At night, the cemetery was very quiet, so quiet that it was frightening. Even if Lin Ling had experienced a great deal in these past few years and had even wandered through the netherworld and hell, he still felt extremely strange, and it was as if he'd been affected. Lin Ling knew that the loneliness of the tombstone had affected him. He found it hard to imagine who would spend the night in the mausoleum other than the tomb keeper. Perhaps they would all leave at night. As for the old man, Lin Ling wasn't sure if he was a god or a mortal. The night passed just like that. Lin Ling did not sleep much, nor did he cultivate. At dawn, the sound of crying came from the graveyard, and the smell of burning paper money wafted over. Moreover, the cries were increasing. Lin Ling looked through the window and saw that in front of some tombstones, there were people kneeling and praying. They were crying very sadly. So what if you're a god? In the end, you're still a human. Lin Ling sighed inwardly. He knew that these people were here to pay respects to the dead. At dawn, the people who were praying finally left. Lin Ling also pushed open the door and went out. Although the sun was charming outside, the petals of the snow maple tree were still sprinkling down, causing the cemetery to still give off a gloomy feeling. The sunlight seemed to be gloomy and cold. Lin Ling sat in front of the hut and looked indifferently at the tombstones. For some reason, he thought of his friends who had died in the void of the 9 states, and also thought of the people he had killed over the years. Little friend, there are people who come here to pay respects every day. Unfortunately, they didn't cherish it when they were alive. What's the use of worrying about it after death? It was unknown when the old man had appeared beside Lin Ling. Then he went to farm again. Lin Ling also chose to help. After a long time, at noon, Yu and the others sent a voice transmission, asking how Lin Ling was doing. Only then did Lin Ling plan to leave. Little friend, if you want to keep your Tao regression to heaven position, then use your Tao regression to heaven position as your tombstone. If you die first, then you can bring your Tao regression to heaven position into the underworld. Just as Lin Ling was about to leave, the old man's voice suddenly floated over. Lin Ling's body shook as he looked at the old man in disbelief. He realized that the old man was still farming, as if he hadn't spoken before. He couldn't understand why the old man said this to him. Was it because he was helping the old man farm? Or was it because he had spent the night here? However, it was too dangerous to leave his Tao regression to heaven position here. After all, there was only one Tao regression to heaven position for each person. It represented the gods. If he stayed here, he might not be able to return after leaving. Moreover, what if the old man destroyed his Tao regression to heaven position? In addition, Lin Ling's Tao regression to heaven position still had some treasures. Was the old man a liar who wanted to cheat his Tao regression to heaven position? I am the host body of the world's will. Even if I die, I can be reincarnated. It can't be said that I will turn into ashes. Why leave my Tao regression to heaven position here? Lin Ling shook his head and strode away. As he left, Lin Ling also heard the old man's soft sigh. However, Lin Ling continued to move forward. Occasionally, he would look back at the old man and found that the old man was still planting vegetables as if he didn't care about anything. Moreover, as Lin Ling walked further and further away, he discovered that the old man seemed to have disappeared. However, that didn't seem to be the case. The old man gave Lin Ling the feeling that he was a tombstone, not a person. This old man is too strange. A person guarding a tomb, and a mortal at that. How is this possible? The Tao Pagoda follows the law of the jungle. In order to become stronger, any method will be used. That old man probably set a trap to deliberately trick people. It's better to avoid such a strange person. Lin Ling walked further and further away. However, after walking for 2 hours, Lin Ling pondered for a long time and finally walked back. For some reason, after leaving the mausoleum, there was always a voice in his heart shouting for him to put the tombstone in the mausoleum. If he did, Lin Ling would be equivalent to dying. Lin Ling didn't know why he had this feeling, but he finally believed in his intuition. Moreover, he sped up, afraid that he would miss something, and soon returned to the mausoleum. From afar, Lin Ling saw that the old man was still planting vegetables, but he had a feeling that he would disappear at any time. Senior, I plan to place the Tao regression to heaven position here as a tombstone. After Lin Ling arrived, he was the first to speak. The old man was still planting vegetables as if he didn't hear Lin Ling's words. After a moment, he raised his head and pointed to an open space in the distance. Put the Tao regression to heaven position there as a tombstone. Remember to write your name, so that when you come back, you won't be able to find your way. His voice was very gloomy, causing Lin Ling to shudder. He didn't speak. According to the old man's instructions, he came to an open space and then set up a tombstone. Lin Ling's tomb. Under the tombstone, he buried his Tao regression to heaven position. After doing all this, Lin Ling's mood was somewhat complicated. After glancing at the tombstone, he smiled bitterly and said, I, Lin Ling, am also a dead man. Then he slowly walked away. However, when he looked in front of the hut, The old man had disappeared at some point. The clean and tidy hut yesterday was now full of cobwebs and dust. The field that was originally full of vegetables was now overgrown with weeds. This. Lin Ling's body trembled. How strange. Chapter 4989. It's gone. Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. He spread his soul power and searched everywhere. Unfortunately, he could only sense a lonely grave. Lin Ling stood there in a daze for a long time before finally leaving the cemetery. When he walked further and further away, he looked back and found that the cemetery was still quiet and devoid of life. Only the huge snow maple tree kept sprinkling petals. Suddenly, Lin Ling had a feeling that the old man seemed to be the snow maple tree. I didn't expect to be buried there for the rest of my life. Lin Ling smiled bitterly and gradually disappeared into the distance. Brother Ling, where are you? Yu Yu's voice kept coming. I still don't know the specific location of this place. I need to find a passerby to know. Lin Ling also replied. Then, he learned that Yu Yu and the others were in the east of a place called Great Void City. Where was Great Void City? Lin Ling was confused and could only continue forward helplessly. It didn't take long for him to meet a total of 5 gods from the pathway. Fellow cultivator, wait. Lin Ling hurriedly transmitted his voice over. Unfortunately, those gods glanced at Lin Ling and didn't attack or stay. They flew away disdainfully. This wasn't the second level, after all. They wouldn't attack without benefits. However, there was a competition for benefits on this level, and the killing was even crazier than on the second level. Those bastards! Seeing that they were getting further and further away, Lin Ling cursed and almost wanted to attack. However, he had just arrived at the third level, and he had heard that there were countless experts here. He didn't want to cause any trouble for the time being. Everything was to find Yu Yu and the others. Lin Ling continued forward and encountered a few more waves of gods. However, after asking Lin Ling, they either disdained to pay attention to him or gave a casual answer, saying that this was the area of the Ocean Holy City. What Ocean Holy City? Lin Ling didn't understand at all. As he continued forward, Lin Ling also encountered rotten race gods. There were many of them, and they emitted a fishy smell. These scavengers captured all the gods they encountered along the way and interrogated them. Although he wasn't as arrogant as when he was on the second floor and dared to kill people as he pleased, his attitude was still arrogant. Not them. Scram. They seem to be looking for someone. Could it be that the rotten gods know that we are here and are looking for us? Lin Ling's eyes flashed as he dodged the gods and flew in another direction. His heart was heavy. If Yu Yu's group was discovered by the rotten race's gods, then things would become troublesome. After all, the rotten race's gods were very powerful. Last time, only 3 of them were dispatched. That was enough to force the Yellow Emperor's entire army. Not long after, a huge city appeared in front of them. The city was majestic, as if it was floating in the sea. This was because a vast sea suddenly appeared on the ground, but the sea was very calm. City of Myriad Gods? Lin Ling's eyes flashed, but he didn't enter the city immediately. Instead, he observed carefully. Soon after, he discovered that there were 99 mysterious pillars under the sea that went straight to the bottom of the giant city, providing a powerful spiritual qi. Grand Mist spiritual qi. Lin Ling's expression changed drastically. He sensed that the 99 pillars were actually gaseous Grand Mist spiritual qi. Grand Mist spiritual qi was the most powerful energy Lin Ling could not see through. Now, this was the first time he saw someone using Grand Mist spiritual qi to cultivate. The third layer has 99 City of Myriad Gods. It's a place that military strategists will fight for. Let's go in and take a look. Lin Ling was curious as he flew toward the Holy Ocean City in the center of the sea. Soon after, Lin Ling discovered that the Holy Ocean City was indestructible. It was supported by the Grand Mist spiritual qi. However, the Grand Mist spiritual qi at the bottom of the sea was controlled and distributed to every corner of the city. Some places had more, some had less. We've arrived at the City of Myriad Gods. We can use treasures to exchange for cultivation time. It's said that if there are enough treasures, one can greatly advance from the king level to the saint level. Furthermore, one's deity energy will be doubled. Yes, I came here because of its reputation. Doubling one's deity energy is too hard to come by. I've been stuck at the king level for many years. Now, there's finally hope for a breakthrough. Voices came from all around. Many gods were very excited. Lin Ling's eyes flashed, and he was shocked. These cities of myriad gods actually had such power. They could allow a god's strength to advance by one realm. No wonder gods only wanted to occupy one city. One had to know that not every god could smoothly break through. Some could not even break through in their lifetime. But here, miracles could be created. However, Lin Ling felt that something was wrong. Here only one realm could be broken through. This meant that after breaking through, the city would no longer be of any help. Perhaps this was the disadvantage. Moreover, there was another disadvantage to the city of myriad gods. For example, some gods were just a little bit away from breaking through. They might be able to break through by relying on their own treasures. But to be safe, they came to the city of myriad gods to exchange treasures for cultivation time. Without a doubt, they would suffer a loss. Of course, there were very few such gods. After all, it was difficult for most gods to break through. Stop. Do you have any treasures? Otherwise, you're not allowed to enter the city. There were more than a dozen doors in the Holy Ocean City. When Lin Ling entered one of the doors, a giant god of the universe stopped Lin Ling. But Lin Ling felt that these giant gods of the universe were not very strong. He estimated that they only had tens of billions of divine energy on them. He has a sword on him. It seems to be of a high level. He also has a pair of mysterious boots. There aren't many treasures on him. Suddenly, one of the gods laughed and said. A mirror appeared in his hand. Without waiting for Lin Ling to say anything, he used the mirror to look at Lin Ling. What was surprising was that this mirror could detect the treasures on Lin Ling's body. This made Lin Ling's expression change slightly. What a heaven-defying treasure. Didn't this mean that all his secrets had been seen through? How strange. He also has a lot of power on him. It's all messy. Moreover, his fingers are very mysterious. Another god said with a frown. Lin Ling's expression became more and more unsightly. It seemed that his secrets had been dug out. One had to know that every god had their own secrets, and they did not like others to pry into them. This was an unwritten rule. Lin Ling looked around and realized that everyone who entered the city was the same. Their entire bodies were searched. Although they were dissatisfied, they endured it for the sake of entering the city to cultivate. This holy ocean city is indeed tyrannical. Lin Ling cursed inwardly. The treasures on you are not bad. How long do you want to cultivate? At this moment, a god finally walked over and asked. A piece of paper appeared in his hand. He looked at the paper and said, The power in your body is very strange and chaotic. If you let the sacred city examine you for 1 day, you can cultivate for 10 days. If you let the sacred city examine you for 10 days, you can cultivate for 10 days. If you let the holy city search for a day, you can cultivate for 10 days. It's worth it. If you let the holy city inspect the boots on your feet for 1 day, you can cultivate for 3 days, multiplying 1 by 3. If the holy city investigates the sword you are wearing for a day, you can cultivate your body and multiply it by 2. Chapter 4990. Your Excellency, this is a rare opportunity. It's just an inspection, but you have so many days of cultivation. The god laughed again. Sure enough, the gods around him were envious. After all, they could enter the holy city of the ocean to cultivate, and most of them exchanged treasures for it. But they didn't know that Lin Ling's remaining treasures were all in the celestial regression realm. He didn't have many on him. In fact, there weren't many left in the celestial regression realm. I'll cultivate for 2 hours. At this moment, Lin Ling made a decision. What a joke. He was full of secrets. He had Panga's finger, the power of the world's will, and the chaos divine formula. How could he let others inspect him so easily? The god's face turned cold when he heard this. He walked back and whispered a few words to the others. After that, he walked back and said, We miscalculated. The treasures you have can only last for the time it takes for 3 incense sticks to burn. After all, they are all low-grade treasures. Things. 3 hours? Lin Ling's face turned cold. He knew that these people were doing it on purpose. Your Excellency, why don't you leave a treasure for the holy city to inspect? Don't worry, the holy city is the most fair. If we say that we will inspect for 1 day, we will definitely not be late. We won't be greedy for your treasures. The god said again. Lin Ling pondered. Now, he wanted to meet up with Yu and the others. He had to get the map of the 3rd level. Asking people outside wouldn't help him in the short term. Okay, I'll leave my boots here. Lin Ling finally handed over the Quafu Sun chasing boots. This was one of the 10 great chaos divine weapons. Lin Ling should have handed over the sword. After all, the sword was worth less than the Quafu Sun chasing boots. However, Lin Ling was a swordsman. With the sword, he was with him. Okay. Seeing that Lin Ling had finally compromised, the god smiled and accepted Lin Ling's Quafu Sun chasing boots. Then he handed Lin Ling a token and said calmly, "This token records the time. Remember, come to the gate in 3 days to exchange for these boots. If the time expires, then these boots belong to the holy city. Of course, you can cultivate for a longer time, a full 3 days. 3 years. Lin Ling immediately took the token and entered the city. His eyes turned cold, knowing that Oceanic Saint City had monopolized the city of myriad gods. That was why they dared to act so tyrannically. It was hard to imagine how many treasures this city had accumulated over the years. What they had paid was merely the amount of primordial qi. Moreover, the primordial qi did not belong to them, but was something that came from the 3rd floor. No wonder all the deities want to seize the city. Lin Ling felt a little jealous in his heart. He wished he could seize a city. When he entered the city, he found that it was no different from an ordinary city. There were streets and alleys, restaurants and inns, and everything that one could think of. As for the gods, they could choose to cultivate or not. However, their cultivation was progressing rapidly. Lin Ling even sensed that his cultivation was advancing towards the peak at an incomparably fast speed. Moreover, the 8 divine embryos were also rapidly improving. Apart from that, his divine power was also increasing. Cultivating in the city was indeed no small matter. Unfortunately, the only flaw was that it could only be raised by 1 level. Otherwise, there was no need to go to the 4th floor. One could become the strongest here. The 1st floor has endless treasures. The 2nd floor raises one's talent. The 3rd floor raises one's all-round strength. This is the Tao Pagoda. Lin Ling walked around casually. In Oceanic Saint City, all food and drinks were free. It was incomparably good to the passers-by. Only Lin Ling knew that those food and drinks were nothing compared to the treasures handed over by the gods. Of course, apart from food and drinks, many things were also free. Lin Ling walked around for half a day and finally found the map. The map was also free. It recorded a large number of the city of myriad gods, covering the entire 3rd floor. With the map in hand, Lin Ling felt that there was no need to stay any longer. He went to the city gate, intending to take back the Quafu Sun chasing boots. Unfortunately, he was told that once the treasure was taken, it would have to be put away for at least a day. This made Lin Ling secretly angry. What an overbearing Oceanic Saint City. With no other choice, Lin Ling had to stay in Oceanic Saint City. At night, he entered the square prison to talk with Xianxia. "I haven't been to the 3rd floor of the Tao Pagoda, but you have to be careful. You are now full of treasures. You are most afraid that Oceanic Saint City will go back on their word." Xianxia reminded Lin Ling after pondering for a while. In fact, Lin Ling had thought about this point, but he had never thought that Oceanic Saint City would dare to do such a thing. If they kill and rob, then who would come to Oceanic Saint City? Lin Ling said. "That's not necessarily true." Xianxia shook his head. "You don't know the yearning of the gods to improve their realm. Even if they know that Oceanic Saint City is not safe, they will still come. However, as long as they don't have any treasures worthy of Oceanic Saint City, Oceanic Saint City will not touch them. And you have too many treasures. So if Oceanic Saint City kills you, even if other gods know, they will not care. What's more, Oceanic Saint City may not let others know." After hearing what Xianxia said, Lin Ling also felt that things were a bit troublesome. Oceanic Saint City was like a bandit's nest. Once they entered, there would be endless trouble. The best way is to immediately take away the Quafu Sun chasing boots and leave by force, Xianxia suggested. Lin Ling nodded. Although it was dangerous to do so, if Oceanic Saint City was prepared, Lin Ling would be in even more danger. Instead of being passive, it was better to take the initiative. "It's still early. Let's go take a look at my Quafu Sun chasing boots and find a way to take it away before leaving here." Lin Ling made up his mind and left the inn. When he left, he also felt that someone was watching him, afraid that he would escape. It seems that Oceanic Saint City's ambition is not just a mere Kwafu sun chasing boots. Lin Ling's pupils became colder. He laughed, drank his wine and swaggered out of the inn. Oceanic Saint City is simply a paradise. Not only is food and drink free, but you can also improve your cultivation without cultivating. Ha ha ha, I will be staying here for a few more years. Lin Ling shouted as he walked. Immediately, beautiful women came up and supported Lin Ling. The people who were secretly watching him thought that Lin Ling was addicted to Oceanic Saint City. This was not surprising. Most gods would be addicted to Oceanic Saint City for the first time. After all, without cultivating, one's strength could improve rapidly. Who would not be happy to come here? Lin Ling held a beautiful woman in each hand and strolled around the street. Finally, he entered a gambling house and began to gamble. When he was drunk and full, Lin Ling lay down casually in the gambling house and seemed to have fallen asleep. It seems that he is really addicted to Oceanic Saint City's fireworks. Let's go back. The beautiful women seemed to be accompanying Lin Ling, but in fact, they were supervising him. When they saw that Lin Ling was drunk and asleep, they were relieved. Chapter 4991. The Kwafu Sun Chasing Boots were one of the 10 great Chaos Divine weapons. After being refined by Lin Ling for so many years, he had already developed a sense for it. Following the sense, Lin Ling naturally found the Kwafu Sun Chasing Boots. Lin Ling believed that even if he was the one who got it, he wouldn't be able to control the Kwafu Sun Chasing Boots in a short period of time. Not long after, a luxurious mansion appeared in front of him. The mansion was heavily guarded with a large number of cosmic laws, making it difficult for people to get close. Damn it, there are so many formation patterns, and they are all formed by cosmic laws. Lin Ling's expression changed. It was difficult for him to get close. Left with no choice, he could only enter the square prison and seek help from Xianxia. These spirit formation runes are indeed powerful. I reckon that the original owner of these runes was a god on par with me, or even stronger than me. However, that god isn't on this floor right now, so it won't be difficult to decipher them. Xianxia sensed the formation patterns around him and passed down the way to break them to Lin Ling. After a long time, Lin Ling came out from the square prison. His eyes flickered, and he shouted, "Golden Cicada Coiling Dragon Forbidden Scroll." His hands continued to draw formations and slapped on his body. A coiling dragon swam out from the void and circled around Lin Ling before disappearing into Lin Ling's body. After the coiling dragon gradually disappeared, a golden light flickered, and a golden cicada quietly appeared. Its wings fluttered slightly as if it was stretching. Then, it also wanted to disappear into Lin Ling's body. Lin Ling took a deep breath and quietly approached the mansion. There were many formations around the mansion, and these formations carried the smell of cosmic laws. However, when Lin Ling came closer, these cosmic laws acted as if they didn't see Lin Ling and allowed Lin Ling to enter and exit. What a powerful formation! Lin Ling looked around as he walked, and he realized that the air around him was flowing as if there were small universes hidden within. Even if it was dust, there were actually living beings, and they were dust universes. Most importantly, there were so many universes here. All of this proved that the god who had set up these barriers was extremely powerful. With the protection of the light on his body, Lin Ling had a smooth journey. He entered the main hall of the mansion, but there was no one there. Lin Ling continued forward and finally arrived at the back garden of the mansion. He saw a large number of gods standing there. These people were all wearing silver armor, and there was a crescent moon above their heads. They quietly stood there without moving, vigilantly looking at their surroundings. And in the center, a pool of bright moonlight floated in the air, sprinkling down cold moonlight onto an altar. It was very beautiful. There was an old man lying on the altar. He was wearing a long silver robe and his white hair was casually scattered. He gave off a feeling of holiness. In front of him was a young man. His face was cold as he raised a dagger high up in the air. His eyes were slightly closed as if he was silently chanting something. What is this? Lin Ling was secretly shocked. This is the Silver Moon Clan. Xiaoxi's voice floated out from the square prison. They are also a very ancient universe god clan. According to legend, they are the incarnations of the universe's moon. Even Chang'e is said to be their successor. This god race had disappeared for many years. Together with the sun god race, they are both equally famous. Another ancient universe god clan. Lin Ling was secretly shocked. He roughly swept his gaze around and discovered that there were a total of 49 gods, and all of them were king-level universe gods. Judging from their auras, they weren't weak, and their deity powers were close to 1,000. Looking at the silver-robed young man in front of the altar, his strength was comparable to the surrounding gods, but it was obvious that he was wearing a crown on his head. This young man seemed to be their leader. My boots are over there. Lin Ling's gaze fell on a corner and found the Kua Fu Sun chasing boots. It was placed together with a pile of treasures, and those treasures were all extraordinary. I reckon those treasures are the same as your Kua Fu Sun chasing boots, Guang Qingzi reminded. They are all treasures that need to be searched. Now, while they are dealing with other matters, we can seize the treasures and immediately escape the city. Lin Ling nodded. He knew that once they took action and exposed themselves, it would lead to an earth-shattering battle. Wait, something is wrong. However, Lin Ling suddenly felt that something was wrong. He frowned and said, logically speaking, those treasures are all extraordinary. That young man should immediately search for them, but he left them aside and is instead doing something on the altar. You are saying that the items on the altar are more attractive to him than the treasures on the ground? Guang Qingzi also sensed something. That's right. Lin Ling nodded. Let's be careful. He quietly spread out his soul power and cautiously searched. At this moment, the silver-robed young man raised his dagger high, but he seemed to have sensed something and didn't immediately attack. He stood motionless, as if he was also searching for something. However, there was nothing in the surroundings other than his own people. Am I overthinking things? But my intuition has always been very accurate. The young man muttered to himself. Lin Ling didn't know that the young man had sensed something and was still searching. Then, his expression changed drastically. Taoist myriad treasures. Taoist myriad treasures. Guang Qingzi was immediately puzzled. One of the hosts of the world's will. Lin Ling's voice was grave. A host of the world's will? That silver moon man can't be thinking of seizing the world's will through the altar ceremony, right? Guang Qingzi gasped. But the Silver Moon clan has always been good at ceremonies. Perhaps he can really succeed. Once he gets the world's will, he will become a host and have a limitless future. Guang Qingzi was also shocked by the Silver Moon clan's plan. Taoist myriad treasures is not weak. It's not difficult for him to defeat an ordinary giant god of the universe, but he was still captured. This shows how powerful the Silver Moon clan is. It seems that our mission has become more troublesome. Not only do we have to take away the Kua Fu Sun chasing boots, but we also have to save Taoist myriad treasures. Taoist myriad treasures. Lin Ling couldn't just watch Taoist myriad treasures die here. Then let's attack. If we catch him off guard, we still have a chance. Guang Qingzi nodded. Lin Ling stared at the altar and finally decided to get the Kua Fu Sun chasing boots first. This way, his speed would be greatly increased, and the difficulty of saving Taoist myriad treasures would also be reduced. Attack! Seeing that the sky was dark, Lin Ling knew that this was the best opportunity. He revealed himself, and a coiling dragon and golden cicada appeared on his body and exploded. This was because the golden cicada coiling dragon forbidden scroll was a barrier technique that restricted the power of gods. Once the power of gods exploded, he would instantly disappear. Who is it? The gods around were all experts, and they instantly sensed something. However, Lin Ling had already pounced on a pile of treasures in the corner. With a grab, all the treasures were collected by him. Then, he grabbed the Kua Fu Sun chasing boots with his right hand and threw them toward the altar. Lin Ling took a step forward and shot forward. Midway, the Kua Fu Sun chasing boots automatically stabbed into his legs. With this, his speed increased sharply, and he rushed to the side of the altar and slashed with the tyrant's song. Clang! There seemed to be nothing on the altar, but in fact, there were moonlight chains. However, they were all cut off by Lin Ling. The young man stood beside the altar with his dagger raised high. He witnessed Lin Ling's actions. Chapter 4992. Clang! The moonlight chains kept breaking, and Taoist Duo Bao, who was lying on the altar, was gradually able to move. He kept staring at Lin Ling, his eyes full of excitement and the desire to live. He clearly knew that if the world will's power was seized, he would definitely die, and he wouldn't be able to reincarnate. However, Lin Ling had suddenly appeared. He was extremely surprised. Why would Lin Ling appear here? It must be known that Lin Ling had defeated young Master Ming's subordinates on the first floor, allowing everyone to enter the second floor. Daoist Duo Bao didn't want to implicate Lin Ling, so he had entered the second floor and finally reached the third floor. He had never thought that he would be able to see Lin Ling so quickly. Daoist Duo Bao. Lin Ling shouted in a low voice. Whoosh! Daoist Duo Bao broke free and floated up. So powerful. You actually managed to hide from my eyes. Tell me your name. I don't kill nameless people. At that moment, the silver-robed youth finally spoke. He had a cold smile at the corners of his mouth, as if he wasn't worried at all. Swish! 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 The experts in the surroundings also flew over. Daoist Duo Bao, leave the city immediately. Lin Ling sensed that after Daoist Duo Bao broke free, his strength was quickly recovering. When Daoist Duo Bao heard this, he immediately nodded. I'm the opposite of you. I like to kill nameless people. After Lin Ling said this, he suddenly pounced at the youth, his powerful soul power bursting out. Universe 3 Extreme Destruction. Return. Universe Seal All Souls. The youth's expression changed drastically. Who is this person? He's actually so powerful. He clearly sensed that his life was in danger, and he didn't dare to move. Get lost! He shouted at the gods that were pouncing at him. The gods all stopped, their expressions changing drastically. They didn't dare to act rashly. Who are you? You are so powerful. You managed to barge in without anyone noticing. The youth looked at Lin Ling and smiled. He still didn't seem to be flustered. I didn't barge in without anyone noticing. I just subdued you without anyone noticing. Lin Ling stood in front of the youth and spoke with a smile. At the same time, he gave Daoist Duo Bao a look and asked him to open a path. Daoist Duo Bao understood and strode forward. Let him go. The surrounding gods began to stir, but the youth immediately shouted coldly. You have guts. Who are you? Lin Ling asked calmly as he held the young man hostage. Yin Tianwen. The youth held his hands behind his back, leading the way in front of Lin Ling. It had to be said that he truly had the spirit of a great figure. From the moment the altar ceremony was destroyed to the moment he was captured, besides the initial surprise, he was able to maintain his calm. These Silver Moon people are indeed extraordinary. I reckon that they managed to escape the calamity of the world will back then. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. The calmer the youth was, the more difficult it was to deal with him. Do you want to leave the city? The young man continued forward, but he smiled and said, People like you won't be able to leave the city, because with me here, there will be even more people following you. You are very smart. Lin Ling replied coldly. You flatter me. Now, are you going to let me go, take a gamble, and rush out of Oceanic Holy City as fast as you can, or are you going to take me out of the city? The youth shrugged and replied. Lin Ling ignored him. He looked around and saw that the surrounding gods were indifferent, as if they were about to attack at any time. However, they did not dare to do so and could only follow from afar. Lin Ling, we can't go on like this. These people will keep following us, and we can't chase them away. If this matter gets out of hand, there will be even more people following us. Daoist Duo Bao also secretly transmitted his voice to Su Quebec. Lin Ling knew that it was impossible to chase the surrounding gods away. Even if they could leave, they would hide in the distance and follow them. Therefore, he had to let Yin Tianwen go. Okay, you can go now. After leaving the mansion, Lin Ling suddenly asked Yin Tianwen. Yin Tianwen put his hands behind his back and looked at Lin Ling calmly. Goodbye. Lin Ling and Daoist Duo Bao looked at each other, then ran down the street and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Young master. It was at this moment that the gods from behind finally charged over. Moreover, there were an extremely large number of them, numbering in the hundreds. Previously, if Lin Ling had a conflict with them, even if he won, he would not have had a good ending. He would have been trapped in the city. How dare they kidnap young master? Catch them. After seeing that the youth was fine, an old man immediately said angrily, No. However, the youth immediately interrupted him. Young master, what's wrong? Everyone looked at the youth. The youth shook his head and said with a cold smile, I am still surrounded by the great universe. If you move, it will immediately attack me. What? Everyone was shocked. Then they activated their means and kept investigating. Young master, this is the soul universe. It is extremely powerful. However, the soul universe is also dissipating. It just needs some time. Young master, what do you think now? The surrounding gods kept talking. The youth smiled faintly and said calmly, Let's wait. Young master, why don't we inform the city gate and not let them out of the city? Once the soul universe disappears, they will be dead. No, if they sense that someone is chasing them, they will activate the soul universe. Although they can't kill young master, they will definitely hurt the youth. It seems that we can only wait. The surrounding gods sat cross-legged and activated their soul power to resist Lin Ling's universe 3 extremes break. The youth had his hands behind his back as if he was looking down at the sky. What an interesting thief. You actually managed to save someone from my hands. Moreover, you stole so many of my treasures. I, Wentian, have cultivated for 300 million years, and this is the first time I have suffered such a great loss. However, you won't be able to do anything. If I, Wentian, want to catch you, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. I will give you time to escape. Let's see where you can run to. Wentian was extremely calm. At this moment, Lin Ling and the rest were rushing toward the city gate. Lin Ling, speed up. Taoist myriad treasures shouted at Lin Ling. Don't go too fast, or you will attract the attention of others. Lin Ling stopped Taoist myriad treasures. But Taoist myriad treasures was afraid that Wentian and the rest would chase after them. He knew how terrifying the Silver Moon clan was. Don't worry. He won't chase after us before my technique disappears. Lin Ling said confidently. That Wentian is very confident, but it's because he's too confident that he gave us time to escape. If we speed up now and get stopped by others, we'll waste even more time. You are right. Both of them restrained their speed. Before long, the magnificent city gate appeared in front of them. At the same time, Lin Ling's expression changed. Not good. My Universe 3 Extremes break has been broken. Taoist myriad treasures, rush out of the city gate. Okay. Taoist myriad treasures' strength erupted as he opened a path in front of them. Who is it? At the gate, a large number of gods shouted angrily. However, Taoist myriad treasures didn't say anything. Instead, the worlds will erupted and turned into a gourd. It formed a powerful suction force that sucked a large number of gods into it. Chapter 4993. 2 of them are leaving the city. Stop them. Stop them. At the same time, Wentian's order arrived, causing the gods' expressions to change drastically. They smiled bitterly to themselves. This order came too late. Yes. If they had received the order earlier, they would have tried their best to stop them. But now that they had received the order, they were obviously caught off guard. Young master, they are already leaving the city. Not good. Help. Almost as soon as they received the order, Lin Ling's powerful attack arrived. The huge gourd controlled by the Taoist of many treasures swallowed everything, and no one could stop it. After Lin Ling's innate talent fusion, the tyrannical song sword turned into a massacre of 10,000 worlds, affecting the strength of the gods. Then, he was killed by Lin Ling's sword. With Lin Ling's current strength, even with the innate talent fusion, ordinary giant gods were no match for him. Charge! Charge! The 2 did not stop, rushing out of the city gate and flying into the distance. When they passed by the sea was hit by the 2's powerful speed. The Holy Ocean City had a large number of city gates, and after seeing this scene, everyone was shocked. Courting death. Catch them. The gods at the city gates were stunned, and then they flew into a rage and chased after Lin Ling's group. Rumble. In the rolling sea, a huge 2-headed turtle crawled out, sprinkling endless stars. After swimming out of the sea, it was extremely fast and chased after Lin Ling's group. A large number of gods stood on top of the gigantic turtle. They were all clad in silver armor and looked very majestic. They were from the Silver Moon clan. Wherever the weapons in their hands pointed, endless silver light sprinkled down like moonlight. The terrifying explosion of divine power caused the entire sea near the Holy Ocean City to overturn. The gods who passed by were directly shaken to death by the sea water. Those two are crazy, daring to act recklessly in the Holy Ocean City. Now that there are 99 cities of myriad gods, except for the attacks between cities, who dares to provoke the cities of myriad gods? I remember that 800 years ago, someone attacked Arrowhead City. It was the city of myriad gods, which was weaker than the holy city of the ocean. In the end, all 32 clans were annihilated. 32 clans. Hundreds of thousands of gods were killed, not to mention that there were only 2 of them. Looks like they're dead for sure. Many gods narrowed their eyes and mocked Lin Ling and the others for overestimating themselves. Of course, they also guessed that Lin Ling and the rest were wrongly accused, but in a place like the city of myriad gods, if you entered the city, being slaughtered was inevitable. They could only swallow their anger. If they resisted, they would die even faster. Escaped? At the same time, a large number of figures appeared at the city gate that Lin Ling had escaped from, with Yin Wentian as their leader. Interesting. The 2 of you are the first to escape from Ocean Sacred City. However, how can I let you go after taking so many of my treasures? There's also Taoist Master of many treasures. Hee, you won't be able to escape. Yin Wentian laughed lightly and waved his hand. Bring out the Silver Moon battleship. Rumble. The holy city of the ocean shook, and a huge silver-armored battleship rose from one corner. Yin Wentian took a step forward and floated toward the battleship. Chase. Standing on the battleship, Yin Wentian waved his hand calmly. Rumble. As soon as the Silver Moon battleship appeared, the heavens and earth shook, and the earth cracked. Some of the weaker gods were directly smashed to the ground by the powerful aura. Chase. Behind the Silver Moon battleship, a large number of small boats and demonic beast mounts appeared and chased after Lin Ling and the Silver Moon battleship. The Silver Moon clan was an extremely famous ancient clan in the universe. How could their dignity be challenged? No matter what, Lin Ling and the Silver Moon battleship must be captured. This was the bottom line. Of course, no one doubted the strength of the Silver Moon clan. Everyone thought that Lin Ling and the Silver Moon battleship were dead meat. At this moment, Lin Ling and the Silver Moon battleship exploded with full speed and flew along the ground into the distance. Lin Ling, they've caught up. At the same time, Taoist Duobao shouted with an ugly expression. The Silver Moon clan is really extravagant. Lin Ling looked back and couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. The heavens and earth shook as a large number of mounts and battleships chased after them. It was as if they had pierced through the sky. No wonder Yin Wentian is so confident. Lin Ling sighed inwardly. Yin Wentian was treating them like a cat catching a mouse. Lin Ling, what should we do? Taoist Duobao looked anxious. Then he sighed and said, Alas, I've implicated you. If you hadn't saved me, you wouldn't have been dragged into this mess. What are you talking about? We're all from the Jojo Void. How can I watch something happen to you? Moreover, you and I are both hosts of the world will. I won't just stand by and watch. Lin Ling couldn't help but curse. Moreover, that guy has taken a fancy to my boots. I won't easily hand them over. Okay, I won't say any more. But now, how are we going to get rid of them? Taoist Duobao felt warmth in his heart. Lin Ling's eyes kept flashing. His strength had increased greatly, but he was confident that he wouldn't be able to win against so many powerful beings. The only way was to get rid of them. At the very least, he had to think of a way to slow them down. Let's go to another city, Lin Ling said after pondering for a while. I know there's a ghost city over there. It's a ghost city. Some gods who cultivate the ghost path and the underworld path like to go there. Taoist Duobao's eyes lit up. Let's go immediately. Lin Ling asked Taoist Duobao to change direction and head toward the ghost city. Young master, they've changed direction. At that moment, someone under the huge Silver Moon battleship said to Yin Wentian. This person's strength was heaven-defying. He was a saint universe god. However, he still had to bow respectfully to Yin Wentian, who was weaker than him. This was because he knew that Yin Wentian was very important to the Silver Moon clan. He was deeply doted on by the Silver Moon god clan. It's okay. They're just flustered. Let them escape. I enjoy the process. Yin Wentian asked someone to bring a chair over. He sat on the chair and drank wine as he spoke casually. They're just 2 small gods. How dare they violate the rules of the great ocean saint city? They deserve to die. Let's make their reincarnation cycle collapse and make it difficult for them to be reincarnated. The person beside him said coldly. Haha, take your time. It won't be fun if you kill the mouse in one go. Yin Wentian waved his hand. At that moment, Lin Ling and the others were still flying forward. A huge city began to appear in front of them. This city was next to a majestic black mountain. Chilly winds blew on the mountain, making it look like a corpse lying on the ground. Looking at the ghost city, there were lanterns everywhere, and burning paper money was everywhere. It was extremely eerie. Moreover, there was no one to be seen. However, Lin Ling discovered that there were people in this city. No, it should be said that there were many ghosts in this city. They were all gods who cultivated the underworld path's divine abilities. Chapter 4994. We want to enter the city. Lin Ling said immediately. This is our entrance fee. Taoist Master of Many Treasures took out a large number of treasures and threw them on the ground. These treasures were priceless, and they were all that Taoist Master of Many Treasures had accumulated. However, at this time, he could not care less about his heartache. Sure enough, the old women's eyes lit up when they saw the treasures. They handed Lin Ling 2 tokens and said, "You can stay here for 2 months, 1 month each." Most of the cities in the City of Myriad Gods were the same. One had to pay a fee to enter the city, but different places paid different treasures. Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures did not speak and entered the city directly. Unfortunately, they were not gods who cultivated the underworld's divine abilities. After entering the city, the cultivation effect was not good. Lin Ling barely managed to get the evil ghost jellyfish. When he looked at Taoist Master of Many Treasures again, he felt uncomfortable all over. Lin Ling also sensed that the Black Mountain, which Middle Yuan City relied on, was filled with mysterious primordial qi, which was similar to the cultivation effect in Ocean Saint City. At the same time, a large number of gods around them looked at Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures with strange and malicious expressions. Lin Ling, there is another city gate in Middle Yuan City. Taoist Master of Many Treasures reminded him at this time. Lin Ling nodded and unsheathed the tyrannical song sword. Murderous intent surged as he displayed his strength. He did not want to be delayed by the gods around him and waste time. Sure enough, when the tyrannical song sword was unsheathed, the gloomy gods around them restrained themselves. Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures did not stop and rush toward the other city gate. However, before they reached the city gate, a rumbling sound came from behind them. The Silver Moon battleship had crashed into Middle Yuan City, causing a huge commotion in the city. This is a good chance. Lin Ling knew that even if the Middle Yuan City gave face to the Silver Moon clan, the Silver Moon clan's mighty assault would still cause the Middle Yuan City to be wary of them. Moreover, it would take a lot of time to explain. Let's leave the city. Then they took out their tokens, handed them over to the Yakshas guarding the gate, and rushed out of the city. Rumble. At this moment, Middle Yuan City was still in turmoil as the two sides clashed. After a short while, the huge black mountain shook slightly. Ocean Saint City, why are you making a big fuss in Middle Yuan City? Do you want to start a war? The most terrifying thing was that the majestic Black Mountain was actually the city lord of Zhong Yuan City. Taoist Master of Many Treasures of Many Treasures. I want 2 of them. On the Silver Moon battleship, Yin Wentian laughed, but his eyes were solemn. Who? Taoist Master of Many people. Yin Wentian waved his arm and the portraits of Lin and Ling appeared. As for He Shan, he was silent for a moment. Using a powerful method to check the tokens sent out by Zhong Yuan City, he finally said, 3 incense sticks ago they left the city. Yin Wentian's eyes flashed. Great of ocean. Of many great ocean many. The Silver Moon God said coldly. Why would I lie to you? Of course, if you want to fight, my Zhong Yuan City will accompany you. Black Mountain's voice was filled with anger. Then, countless shadows wearing cloaks and holding death scythes flew out. They were majestic and filled the sky. It was incomparably terrifying. Ha ha ha. Suddenly, Yin Wentian burst into laughter. I think this is a misunderstanding. The 2 of them have nothing to do with the Zhong Yuan Patriarch. They are just using the Zhong Yuan City as an excuse to shake us off. Zhong Yuan Patriarch, sorry for disturbing you. Moreover, they are using your Zhong Yuan City. This matter is also a provocation to Zhong Yuan City. I will capture them for you. The Black Mountain was silent for a moment as all the death gods flew back. An angry voice floated out. Damn those juniors, they actually dare to use my Zhongyuan city to cause trouble. Capture them, I want their souls. Of course. Yin Wentian led the group as they circled around Zhongyuan city and continued their pursuit. What a cunning junior. The people of the Silver Moon clan cursed in anger. No, this is interesting, isn't it? However, not only was Yin Wentian not angry, he was even happier. From this, it could be seen how confident he was in himself. Unfortunately, no matter how cunning their scheme is, it is useless. If I, Yin Wentian, want to destroy them, it will be as easy as flipping my hand. Activate the Silver Moon Grand Light technique. Yin Wentian waved his hand. As soon as he finished speaking, the huge silver warship shot out a ray of light, breaking through the void and forming a huge halo. The halo was as big as the Holy Ocean City. The Silver Moon warship swam into it with the crowd and gradually disappeared. The previously bustling and noisy Zhongyuan city had suddenly become completely silent. It was extremely strange. At this moment, Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures were still running wildly. In this short period of time, both of them had recovered slightly. Have we shaken them off? Taoist Master of Many Treasures frowned. However, Lin Ling did not speak because he was not too sure. I didn't expect that two of us, the hosts of the world's will, two gods from the void of Jojo, would be hunted down together in the Tao Tower. Just thinking about it makes me feel like a drama. Taoist Master of Many Treasures could not help but laugh when he saw that they were fine. Not yet. But at this moment, Lin Ling finally spoke. As soon as he finished speaking, Taoist Master of Many Treasures noticed that a huge halo had appeared behind them. It was extremely dazzling, as if it was condensed from moonlight. Run. The two of them could not care less. They burst forth with speed and ran wildly again. Ha, I see you again. You are really not polite enough. You left without saying goodbye. You don't treat me as a friend. At the same time, Yin Wentian's laughter could be heard. On the warship, Yin Wentian stood there majestically, looking down at Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures who had disappeared into the distance. Chase. Then, he waved his hand casually, and the huge warship under his feet chased after them again. Ha. As for the Silver Moon clan around the warship, they all laughed cheerfully as if they were playing a game. This mighty scene undoubtedly attracted the attention of many passers-by. They immediately knew that the Silver Moon clan was chasing after them. Indirectly, they also raised the prestige of the Silver Moon clan. Lin Ling, damn it, we were fooled. On the other side, Taoist Master of Many Treasures cursed angrily. Lin Ling was also cursing inwardly. The two of them were extremely fast, but they still could not escape being chased. What kind of means did the Silver Moon clan use? Now, if they could not shake them off, they would die sooner or later. It seems that it is difficult to shake them off by relying on the city of myriad gods. Lin Ling was annoyed. Suddenly, he thought of the square prison and hurriedly asked Guang Qingzi. Unfortunately, Guang Qingzi was helpless because he was not familiar with the Tao Tower. At most, he could help Lin Ling out to fight, but this kind of fight would not last long. After all, Guang Qingzi was a prisoner in the prison. It is easy to shake them off. There is a place on the third floor that is very suitable for shaking off the pursuers. Of course, it is also very dangerous for you. Chapter 4995. Are you sure? The matter was urgent, so Lin Ling couldn't care too much and hurriedly asked. Let's head southeast. The mysterious Taoist didn't say much and just pointed out the direction. Lin Ling didn't hesitate and changed direction with Taoist of Many Treasures. Lin Ling, what are you doing? Taoist of Many Treasures was puzzled, but Lin Ling couldn't explain it. After flying like this for 4 hours, Lin Ling and Taoist of Many Treasures were flying at full speed, consuming the most divine essence. However, the huge battleship was still following behind them. Originally, the Silver Moon race had run out of patience and planned to end the game. However, Lin Ling and Taoist of Many Treasures' speed suddenly increased, causing the Silver Moon race to be interested again. A dense forest appeared in front of them. The forest was quiet, no different from what they usually saw. Go in. Lin Ling rushed into the forest according to the mysterious Taoist of Many Treasures. At that moment, Lin Ling suddenly realized that the forest seemed to have come alive. Retract your divine essence and walk. At the same time, the mysterious Taoist of many treasures voice sounded, and Lin Ling hurriedly did as he was told. The strange thing was that after the divine essence was retracted, the forest seemed to have regained its silence. Taoist of many treasures was very surprised. He had been wandering around the city of myriad gods for a long time, but this was the first time he had seen such a mysterious forest. Moreover, it was Lin Ling's first time here, so why was he so familiar with this place? Let's go! At that moment, Lin Ling didn't explain and quickly walked forward. Not long after the two of them walked, the Silver Moon battleship appeared in the sky above the forest, looking down. Young master, they're hiding in the forest. Someone said respectfully to Wentian. They're probably tired. All right, the game is over. Catch the two of them. Remember, neither of them can die. Wentian smiled calmly and waved his hand. Bang, bang, bang. The Silver Moon battleship shook slightly. At the front of the battleship, an incomparably dazzling light condensed, forming an incomparably huge divine cannon. Boom! The divine cannon suddenly shot out, and the dazzling beam of light destroyed everything in its path. Escape? Let's see how you two rats escape. The long hair of all the gods fluttered in the wind as they sneered. They knew that the forest would definitely be destroyed by this cannon. Rumble! However, this shot, which was powerful enough to kill a saint-level universe giant god, was blocked by the endless trees after it landed on the forest. It was as if the shot had hit a bubble. Next, an incomparably terrifying rebound force erupted. Rumble! The divine cannon shot back, and a huge beam of light soared into the sky. Not good. The Silver Moon race were all experts. They reacted instantly and abandoned the Silver Moon battleship, shooting into the distance. As for the god riding the giant tortoise, his expression changed drastically, and he fled without a trace. Boom! The gigantic silver light divine cannon shot into the sky and actually pierced through the Silver Moon battleship, destroying a large number of mounts. The gigantic tortoise that was as large as a city was also killed in one shot. Moreover, many of them were too slow to escape and were killed by the cannon. Meanwhile in the forest, the expressions of Lin Ling and Taoist Duobao changed drastically. Previously, when the divine cannon shot down, Lin Ling had thought that they would not be able to escape this calamity. Even if they did not die, they would definitely be severely injured. He had even planned to use Pengu's true body to resist the attack. However, this mysterious forest had actually blocked the divine cannon. Lin Ling, what kind of forest is this? Taoist Duobao gasped. Lin Ling shook his head. Let's go. Let's continue forward. At this moment, in the sky, all the Silver Moon race members were stunned. They looked at the damaged Silver Moon battleship and then at the dense forest on the ground. Then, they all revealed furious expressions. 2 cockroaches had actually caused them to suffer such heavy losses. Young master, those 2 rats should have been dealt with long ago. A god said to Wentian as he stared at the ground with resentment. Go down and capture them. Wentian's voice deepened. After he finished speaking, he grabbed Wentian's head and crushed it. It was obvious that he was very angry. This was because he had not expected that 2 mere rats could cause so many of his people to die. Kill! After hearing Wentian's words, the other gods charged into the forest. They erupted with all their strength, wanting to capture Lin Ling and his group and teach them a lesson to vent their anger. However, when they charged into the forest, an ominous atmosphere pervaded the air. Everyone be careful. The Saint Giant Universe God beside Wentian was the first to react and shouted anxiously. Unfortunately, he was a little too slow. On the ground of the forest, a large number of vines suddenly shot out and pierced through the bodies of many gods. Some gods were directly shot to death, while some gods did not die. However, they withered at a speed visible to the naked eye, and their deity energy was sucked dry. In the end, they all turned into dried corpses hanging from the vines. You motherfasterisk cur, go to hell. Seeing so many gods die, the gods of the Silver Moon race were all enraged and attacked the forest crazily. Shill, 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 shill. However, in exchange for more vines shooting up into the sky, the surrounding trees seemed to be moving as they attacked the gods. Don't attack. Everyone, don't attack. Suppress your deity energy. Beside Wentian, the Saint Giant Universe God shouted, This is the Forest of Mysteries. The entire forest is a demonic creature. Don't attack. The moment he finished speaking, the gods of the Silver Moon race all reacted and suppressed their deity energy. Even so, the forest was still attacking them. Fortunately, the Silver Moon race was united. They gritted their teeth and did not attack. In the end, after more than 10 people died, the forest gradually quieted down. Let's go. Yin Wentian's expression was gloomy again and again as he walked to look for Lin Ling. Young master, we can't use deity energy in this forest. Even if we find them, how are we going to take them away? Someone said through gritted teeth, hating Lin Ling and his group to death. There will be a way. Yin Wentian said calmly, but the anger in his heart was more intense than anyone else's. As for the front, Lin Ling and the others were still moving forward at a moderate pace. At the same time, they felt the commotion behind them and instantly knew that many of the Silver Moon race had died. Good, let's see if they still dare to be arrogant. Taoist master of many treasures felt carefree as he looked ahead. After passing through the forest, a hazy fog appeared in front of them, blocking everything. No one would have thought that the center of the forest was actually a region of clouds and fog. Go in. Lin Ling listened to the mysterious Taoist and planned to enter the clouds and fog. According to the mysterious Taoist, the clouds and fog did not seem big, but in reality, they were as vast as the universe and could avoid the pursuit of strong beings. Unless one's luck was heaven-defying, it would be difficult for the Silver Moon race to find them. This was because the space within the clouds and fog was also overlapping. Just as Lin Ling and the others were about to enter the clouds and fog, a large number of figures appeared in the forest behind them. One of them stared indifferently at Lin Ling and his group, a flame burning in his eyes. And this person was Yin Wentian. Lin Ling glanced at them and did not say anything as he disappeared into the clouds and fog. Chapter 4996. He knew very well that the two of them hadn't entered this place by accident. They had done it on purpose, using the forest to kill the Silver Moon clan. If he had been a little faster, the two of them would have been caught, and the Silver Moon clan wouldn't have suffered any losses. All of this was caused by Yin Wentian's overconfidence. How could he not be angry? Of course, it wasn't because he was careless, but because he was more familiar with the third level than the two of them. However, the two of them had made him suffer a great loss. When everyone entered the clouds, they all disappeared. Yin Wentian had become a loner as he moved forward. What is this place? Yin Wentian thought that he had seen a lot, but he was still shocked. On the other side, Lin Ling and Taoist duo Bao hadn't separated. They had the same red ribbon tied around their shoulders. The red ribbon had strange Genesis runes, which made them look like fireflies in the clouds. What a strange cloud. We can't communicate with the outside world, and we can't use any detection methods. My soul power is also suppressed. Lin Ling was shocked. Oh no, we've probably entered the clouds. It's said that those who enter will have to walk for the rest of their lives. Taoist duo Bao looked around, and his expression changed drastically. Lin Ling nodded. Now, the clouds are the only way to get rid of the Silver Moon clan. I hope that as time passes, the Silver Moon clan will gradually forget about this. I hope so. Taoist duo Bao agreed with Lin Ling. Getting lost here is better than being caught by the Silver Moon clan. One should know that once they were caught, they would definitely die because the Silver Moon clan had a way to obtain the power of the world's will. Taoist duo Bao, how did you get caught? Lin Ling asked as he continued walking. We happened to pass by the Ocean Holy City, but we were discovered and caught by the Silver Moon clan. It seems that a big shot from the upper level knows our whereabouts and is attacking us. Taoist duo Bao said. Lin Ling frowned. Could it be the 9 stars of the universe? But Ning Qingxin once said that the 9 stars of the universe wouldn't attack us so soon. Is it the 3 divine gates of White Mountain? Or the rotten race? In the end, Lin Ling shook his head. There were too many experts at the pinnacle of deities, and it was hard to figure it out in a short period of time. After a long time, the two of them rested on the spot. Lin Ling asked the mysterious Taoist and found out that the mysterious Taoist had a way to leave. This allowed Lin Ling to finally relax. He didn't leave immediately. He guessed that countless people were looking for them in the outside world. He wanted to wait for a while before deciding what to do next. The two of them rested for a long time. Suddenly, a figure came from afar. This person appeared and disappeared from time to time. It was very strange. However, after a long time, he appeared in front of Lin Ling and Li Qia. What surprised Lin Ling and the others was that this person was actually Yin Wentian. One had to know that the mystic cloud was like a maze. The space inside was chaotic and independent. The chances of meeting someone inside were 1 in 10 million. Lin Ling and Taoist Duobao had red cloth on their shoulders, so they couldn't be separated. It's you. When Yin Wentian saw Lin Ling and Lin Feng, his face was also filled with shock. To be able to find you in the mystic cloud, it seems that this is fate. Then, Yin Wentian laughed. His laughter was very sinister, but he was also very happy. Lin Ling and Li Qia stood up, looked at each other, and shook their heads. They didn't know if it was fate or if they were just unlucky. However, now that things had come to this, it was useless to say anything. Who are you? Yin Wentian suddenly looked at Lin Ling. He was very curious about Lin Ling's origins. Why are you helping him? Do you know the consequences of offending the Silver Moon clan? Of course I know. Lin Ling smiled and nodded. He wasn't too worried. Right now, there was only Yin Wentian. If he joined forces with Taoist Duobao, they would probably be able to defeat him. The Silver Moon clan is an ancient god clan that is as famous as the Sun God clan. Lin Ling said. He had seen how strong the Sun God clan was. Back then, it was just a mere 12-winged sun god, but its strength was not weaker than his. Therefore, the Silver Moon clan was definitely not weak. Since you know that we are the Silver Moon clan, how dare you ruin my plan? Yin Wentian laughed. First, your ocean sacred city wants my Kwafu sun-chasing boots. Second, I am also one of the hosts of the world's will. Lin Ling said bluntly. Yin Wentian's face changed dramatically. He looked at Lin Ling in disbelief, but he couldn't figure out anything. He knew that Taoist Duobao was the host of the world's will because God Ancestor Silver Moon had told him. I didn't expect that after so many twists and turns, I would get the strength of 2 worlds' wills. Good, this is fate. Yin Wentian licked his lips and the anger in his heart dissipated. Although many people of the Silver Moon clan had died, if he got 2 worlds' wills, everything would be worth it if he could get the strength of the world's will. Don't be too happy, because whether you can get the strength of our world's will is still unknown. Lin Ling also smiled. Lin Ling, be careful. This person is extremely powerful. He has the power of 2 quadrillion god. Taoist Duobao reminded him in a low voice. With his power, ordinary giant gods of the universe were no match for him. Only those at the level of Yin Wentian could. 20 million? He's the same as the Yellow Emperor. Lin Ling was shocked. They were both giant gods of the universe, but the gap between their power was like heaven and earth. Get ready to attack. We have no choice now. Lin Ling nodded to Taoist Duobao. Taoist Duobao immediately used his full strength. A huge gourd appeared above his head. He shouted at Lin Ling, Lin Ling, I'll hold him back. I'll kill him. Lin Ling fused with his talent. The tyrannical song sword appeared in his hand, and he took the initiative to attack. Walala! Taoist Duobao's gourd used a powerful devouring power. It actually had the power to suck the surrounding clouds into the gourd. The devouring power enveloped Yin Wentian, greatly suppressing his power. However, his body shone with silver light, and a crescent moon appeared above his head. It was as though he had gathered the power of an entire universe. Taoist Duobao, I've already said that your world's willpower is too weak. It won't affect me much. He stretched out his palm and waved it continuously. Huge crescent moons were sent out by him. Shwa shwa. The moment these crescent moons appeared, the clouds seemed to be cut apart. His power of divinity had reached 2 quadrillion god. Taoist Duobao's expression changed drastically. Although the willpower of a world was very strong, it was divided into levels. His current level was clearly not very high. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. This person was actually stronger than the Yellow Emperor. Lin Ling also felt that Yin Wentian was not using his full power. Lin Ling rushed forward with the tyrannical song sword in hand, but a crescent moon sent him flying. Not to mention, there were so many of them. Panga's true body. Lin Ling knew that he would not be able to win with ordinary methods. He had to use his trump card. He suddenly grew in size and turned into a giant. Looking down at Yin Wentian from above, he punched out with his gigantic fist. Panga's bloodline. Yin Wentian narrowed his eyes. He did not expect Lin Ling to have so many tricks up his sleeves. Previously it was a soul attack, but now it was a physical attack. Chapter 4997. The dazzling silver moon illuminated the entire cloud zone, as if a bright moon had risen. 1,000-mile-wide silver moon blocked the top of Yin Wentian's head like a dome. Looking carefully, there were shadows on the surface of the silver moon plate. There were mountains, rivers, people, and living creatures. This was a great universe world. Rumble. In the sky, Lin Ling's fist smashed down fiercely. After landing on the huge silver moon plate, time seemed to have stopped. Under the silver moon plate, Yin Wentian's expression changed as he sensed a terrifying pressure descending from the sky. Boom, boom, boom. Finally, a terrifying power erupted. With the two of them as the center, wind waves and divine essence charged out like a tidal wave, and the clouds and mist seemed to have been blown away. Of course, the clouds here were also very strange. Even if they were blown away, they only became lighter and didn't completely disperse. Bang, bang, bang. Yin Wentian's legs continued to sink, and his bones made cracking sounds. Boom, boom. At the same time, Lin Ling's fists continued to smash down, as if huge islands were rushing towards the ground. However, the silver moon plate didn't move at all. It was extremely sturdy. So powerful, his divine energy has reached 300 billion, and he even has his own great universe. Lin Ling's eyes flickered, shocked by Yin Wentian's strength. One had to know that he was now teaming up with Taoist myriad treasures. Thinking about it, if there wasn't Taoist myriad treasures, Lin Ling would probably only be able to fight to a draw and not have the upper hand. Crescent moon. At this time, Yin Wentian also let out a low shout, and the silver moon plate above his head became a bit more complete. Under the silver moonlight sprinkled down like a curtain of rain, protecting Yin Wentian inside. Universe 3 Extreme Destruction. While Lin Ling continued to smash out with his huge fists, he also activated his trump card. Powerful soul power went around the silver moon plate and drowned Yin Wentian from all directions. Lin Ling so strong. Taoist myriad treasure's expression changed drastically when he saw Lin Ling's overwhelming attack. He had a trump card, which was the power of the world's will. But Lin Ling had several trump cards, and they were all incomparably powerful trump cards. It was hard for him to imagine what Lin Ling had experienced after entering the Tao Pagoda. Why had his strength increased so much? Return. At the same time, Yin Wentian also let out a low roar. The silver light around his body became even denser, so dense and dazzling that it blocked the invasion of the soul. Lin Ling's 3 universes were blocked by the moonlight. This Yin Wentian is definitely one of the rarest and strongest among the king-level universe giant gods. Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air. His physical strength and soul power were both blocked. Too strong. Last time, Lin Ling was able to take advantage of the situation because he was caught off guard. Otherwise, he would not have been able to leave the holy city of the sea. Of course, when Lin Ling sucked in a breath of cold air, he didn't notice that Yin Wentian was also sucking in a breath of cold air. He obviously didn't expect that this young man was even more powerful than Taoist master of many treasures. He had always thought that this young man was merely an ant. Boy, you've used up your 3 axes, right? It's my turn now. At this time, Yin Wentian said coldly. It's still early. Lin Ling replied coldly. Haha, I can see that you're just showing off. However, your strength is really powerful. Yin Wentian, rarely praise others. You're the 3rd person in my life to be praised by me. After all, you have the strength of a peak superior god. To be able to force me to this extent, you're already amazing. Unfortunately, if it were someone else, you would have won without a doubt. But you've met me. I've cultivated for hundreds of millions of years, and I've seen all kinds of people. Even the master of your cultivation technique, the god of creation, Pangu, I'm lucky enough to meet him. Yin Wentian said coldly. His seemingly plain words were mixed with incomparable arrogance. Is that so? Then should I thank you for praising me? Lin Ling was shocked, but his arrogance was also stimulated. He, Lin Ling, had come out from the rainforest sacred land and experienced countless battles. He had defeated countless experts and swept away countless gods. When had he ever been looked down upon like this? To be honest, it had been a long time since he was looked down upon like this. Then you can try again. Lin Ling activated the Panga's finger and shot it down fiercely. What? You have the Panga's finger. When this terrifying power was released, Yin Wentian's expression changed drastically. He sensed that the power released by the finger did not exist in this era. It was the real god of creation's finger. He was shocked. Who exactly was this Lin Ling? Why did he have the Panga's real body and the real Panga's finger? Rumble. The huge finger landed on the huge silver moon disk, and the surrounding clouds dispersed, revealing a vacuum. It was terrifying. Yin Wentian's legs sank, and he stood like a horse. His face was ferocious, and his legs were trembling. It was obvious that it was extremely difficult for him to resist this finger. Ka. After a while, the huge silver moon disk emitted a crisp sound. It had obviously reached its limit and could not bear the burden. Gradually, a crack appeared, and then more and more cracks appeared. It was like glass shattering. Boom. Finally, the entire silver moon disk shattered, and the moonlight seemed to have solidified, sputtering in all directions. The huge finger shot into the clouds, stirring up endless wind and clouds. Rumble. The aftermath was turbulent, and the universe collapsed. Time and space were all shattered. Time passed quietly. Lin Ling also began to shrink slowly. He was still staring at the ground, and he saw that the clouds were rolling like waves. However, the silver moon disk had shattered, and Yin Wentian seemed to have died. He's dead. Taoist Master of Many Treasures exhaled lightly and sat down powerlessly on the ground, as if he had exhausted all his strength. He had been assisting Lin Ling and releasing the power of the world's will. This had undoubtedly caused him to reach his limit. Lin Ling nodded. His soul power continued to search, but he could not sense Yin Wentian. He reckoned that Yin Wentian was really dead. It's still early. However, at this moment, a ferocious voice suddenly sounded. From the rolling clouds on the ground, a middle-aged man who looked like a deity appeared. He glared at Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures, as if he wanted to remember Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures. Under this furious deity, a palm-sized silver person appeared. He held a silver moon blade and looked at Lin Ling and Taoist Master of Many Treasures ferociously. Yin Wentian was not dead. Wentian, capture them. After seizing the power of the world's will, make them suffer a fate worse than death. The furious deity spoke in a low voice. It was actually another person. Obviously, when Yin Wentian had almost died, it was this furious deity who had helped him. This person's strength was terrifying beyond imagination. After all, this was in the clouds. Any deity would get lost if they entered, but this furious deity could come here with his consciousness. Perhaps, this person was the real master of the Holy Ocean City. Okay, I will make them suffer a fate worse than death. Chapter 4998. Father will help you. At the same time, the glaring god's body shone with silver light, illuminating the clouds and filling the sky with silver light. It was hard to imagine how terrifying this person's strength would be if he came here personally. Under the illumination of the moonlight, Lin Ling and Taoist Myriad Treasures could clearly sense that the time around them was being reorganized. Time slowed down, becoming incomparably slow. Even the flow of divine essence seemed to be frozen. Not good. Lin Ling and Taoist Myriad Treasures roared at the same time, but their voices were incomparably slow, as if they had experienced several eras. Die! At the same time, the silver dwarf held the moon blade in his hand and turned into moonlight. He attacked Taoist Myriad Treasures first. This was because Taoist Myriad Treasures' devouring power had restrained him, causing him to be attacked by Lin Ling passively. Whoosh! The blade fiercely chopped down, cutting off one of Taoist Myriad Treasures' arms. Moreover, his chest was torn open, causing blood to spurt out. Ah! Taoist Myriad Treasures screamed and fell down. Sinister villain, let's see how you attack. The silver dwarf said coldly as he floated in front of Taoist Myriad Treasures, holding the silver moon blade in his hand. However, just as he was about to kill Taoist Myriad Treasures with one slash, suddenly, a powerful force erupted and cut off the glaring god's moonlight binding, restoring time. Then, a dazzling sword light slashed over. What? You still have a trick up your sleeve. The silver dwarf's expression changed drastically as he looked at the sword in disbelief. The power of the world's will. The glaring god's expression also changed drastically. The power of the world's will was the most mystical power in the universe, even more mysterious than primordial energy. It wasn't strange that it could cut off the glaring god's moonlight. What surprised them was that the power of the world's will was actually so strong. Don't forget, I haven't used the power of the world's will. The person who had attacked was Lin Ling. He held the sword of faith in his hand and rushed in front of the silver dwarf, slashing down heavily. I'll deal with you. The silver dwarf's strength was impressive. Although he was only the size of a palm, when he slashed out, the universe collapsed. Rumble! The sword and saber collided, and the two terrifying and mysterious forces collided continuously. The vacuum in the clouds became even larger, and even the glaring heavenly deity was affected, as if he was about to dissipate at any moment. After all, he wasn't here with his main body. Wentian, Father will help you. However, glaring heavenly deity was still using all his strength to help the tiny silver figure. Moonlight fell on Lin Ling's body. Although most of it was blocked by the sword of faith, it still caused Lin Ling to vomit a large mouthful of blood and be seriously injured. Ha ha ha, if this goes on, you'll definitely die. However, your will of the world is truly terrifying. I must obtain it. In front of Lin Ling, the tiny silver figure let out a sinister cry, its face terrifyingly sinister. Kill him and seize his world will's power. That glaring heavenly deity also continued to roar. It was as if the two of them were working together to suppress Lin Ling. Damn it, my sword of faith is still a little weak. However, what blade is Wentian's? Why is it so powerful? Lin Ling bellowed in his heart, knowing that life and death would be decided at this moment. And this feeling of life and death was something he hadn't experienced for many years. Lin Ling, I'll help you. But at this moment, a crazy voice sounded. Taoist master of many treasures, who was covered in blood and had one of his arms cut off, flew back with great difficulty from afar. A gourd appeared in his other arm, and he urged his strength to form the world will to help Lin Ling. You dare! The glaring heavenly deity didn't expect Taoist master of many treasures to be able to fight again. You've joined forces, so why can't we? Taoist master of many treasures' eyes were red. He aimed the mouth of the gourd at the tiny silver figure, and a powerful devouring power erupted. You're courting death. The tiny silver figure was already having a hard time resisting Lin Ling's sword of faith. Now that he was facing a powerful devouring power behind him, the pressure on him instantly increased. If the power behind him was only the power of the gods, or even the steps of the gods, he wouldn't be afraid. But the power behind him was the world will. Being pulled by a powerful devouring power, the tiny silver figure began to distort, as if he was about to be sucked into the gourd. Father, help me! He shouted anxiously. The glaring heavenly deity was helpless now. After all, he wasn't here with his true body. To be able to help Wentian like this was already extremely powerful. How about the two of you stop now? Even though the glaring heavenly deity was furious, he suppressed his anger and spoke in a humble manner. Stop? I refuse. Lin Ling maintained his posture of slashing down with his sword and answered straightforwardly. I refuse too. Taoist master of many treasures also shouted angrily. If you dare to kill him, you will definitely die. You will have to bear the anger of my Silver Moon clan. You must know that even the Sun God clan doesn't dare to kill my son. The glaring heavenly deity was also angry. He said threateningly, not only you but your family, your friends, and even those related to you will all be buried with you. This is what I, Wanguang, said. I am the current patriarch of the Silver Moon clan. This is the blood oath I made. Once the blood oath was made, it meant that they couldn't live under the same sky. Now, the choice was on Lin Ling and Duan Wanguang. If they dared to kill them, they would have to bear the blood oath of the Silver Moon clan. Not only them, but everyone would be implicated. If they let them go, everything would be peaceful. Of course, no one was sure how long this peace would last. After all, Wentian had suffered such a great loss today. After returning, would he really let Lin Ling and Duan Wanguang go? Taoist Master Duan Wanguang. Lin Ling suddenly looked at Taoist Master Duan Wanguang. Taoist Master Duan Wanguang gritted his teeth as if he was thinking about something. Finally, he looked at Lin Ling and said, You decide everything. I will accompany you. All right. Lin Ling nodded heavily and looked at Wentian with red eyes. You shouldn't have offended the host of our world's will. Kill. Finally, he made a decision. Father. Yin Wentian, who had always been confident, finally felt that death was coming. He never thought that he would die here because of his carelessness while chasing the two rats. The two of you dare to kill him? I will exterminate your entire clan. I will exterminate all of you from generation to generation. I will never let you reincarnate, including all your family and friends. My Silver Moon clan swears to the universe. The glaring heavenly deity's voice became angrier and angrier. It formed a powerful curse power that enveloped Lin Ling and Taoist master Duan Wanguang. Unfortunately, Lin Ling's killing intent was set. The sword of faith slashed down. Rumble. The small silver person was slashed by the sword and his body was cut in half. Finally, he looked at the glaring heavenly deity with reluctance and gradually dissipated in the clouds. Yin Wentian dead. It was not easy for me to have a son in my old age. You actually dared to kill him. You will regret it. Prepare to bear the wrath of my Yin Moon clan. Chapter 4999. Suffer the wrath of our Silver Moon clan. Be angry, be angry. The clouds were tumbling, and the voice of the heavenly god was still drifting in the air. Lin Ling and Duo stood there quietly, their expressions extremely solemn. They had both witnessed the powerful power of the Great Blood Oath entering their bodies, and they couldn't get rid of it. Unless the entire Silver Moon clan was destroyed, or Lin Ling and the others were destroyed, this blood oath would never be removed. Most importantly, this Great Blood Oath was fine if it was only Lin Ling and Taoist Duo Bao, but it was also related to everyone Lin Ling and the others knew. This matter is troublesome, Lin Ling finally said. He had killed countless people in his life, but this was the first time he had seen such a resentful Great Blood Oath. This was because this was also a sure-kill situation. We are fine, but we are most afraid of implicating the Yellow Emperor and the others. Taoist Duo Bao's expression was also extremely solemn. This was the terrifying part of the Great Blood Oath. It was said that as long as someone made the Great Blood Oath, they would consume their lifespan, and the universe had its own great laws that could envelop everyone in the Great Blood Oath. This meant that as long as they were in the Tao Pagoda, no one could escape. Unless they were like Lin Ling and the others, who were in the clouds, they could escape from the Great Blood Oath's detection and pursuit. Damn it! If only I could inform Yu and the others and let them return to the Lin Ling universe immediately. Thinking of this, Lin Ling's expression became even more anxious. The clouds couldn't contact the outside world, which was a huge disadvantage. Yu and the others can escape, but what about the Yellow Emperor and the others? Taoist Duo Bao suddenly said, which made Lin Ling sigh softly. It's all my fault, all my fault. It's not your fault, they are the ones who pushed us too far. Taoist Duo Bao comforted him. However, it was just our guess before, and it might not be accurate. Let's not panic. Hearing this, Lin Ling nodded. Now, let's cultivate here first. The two of them didn't leave the clouds. They sat cross-legged and recovered their strength. On the other side, in the Holy Ocean City, a large number of experts rushed into the Holy Ocean City as if they had been summoned. What happened? The people passing by were very surprised. It was the first time they had seen the Ocean Saint City so turbulent. I heard that the son of the Silver Moon clan's patriarch, Yin Wentian, is dead. What? Someone dares to kill Yin Wentian? Are you crazy? I don't know if it's true, but I've heard of such rumors. A series of exclamations floated out from the holy city of the ocean, but when the news came out, everyone was scared to the point of trembling a little. Everyone knew how terrifying the patriarch of the Silver Moon clan was. Not to mention killing Yin Wentian, even if he dared to be arrogant in the Ocean Saint City, the end result would be his entire clan being killed. As for the patriarch of the Silver Moon clan, Yin Wanguang, he had a son when he was old. It was said that it took him more than 800 million years to give birth to Yin Wentian. How could he not dote on him? Moreover, Yin Wanguang was not the only one who doted on him. Even the Silver Moon God clan doted on him. The Silver Moon God clan was the strongest in the Silver Moon God clan. It was said that he was from the same era as Pangu and the other ancient gods. If the news was true, those murderers would definitely die. I heard that God Ancestor Silver Moon is in a higher place in the Tao Pagoda. Otherwise, he would have overturned the second level. A god said uneasily. When he thought of how terrifying God Ancestor Silver Moon was, he trembled with fear. Now, even without the Silver Moon God clan, the current patriarch of the Silver Moon clan is enough to overturn the second level of the City of Myriad Gods. Another god said, "Maybe what you said is just a rumor." However, more people still did not believe the rumors. After all, no one was so crazy as to kill Xianxia. Does anyone know these two people? However, at this time, an old voice resounded throughout the city. Those who know will be rewarded handsomely. Two portraits appeared. They were Lin Ling and Xianxia. These two people killed my son. I have made a blood oath to exterminate their entire clans. Who knows? The voice was mixed with billowing anger, and it spread to everyone's ears. The Ocean Saint City was in an uproar. No one had expected the rumors to be true. Crazy. These two people were crazy. If you don't report it, not only will you be killed, but your family and friends will also suffer. The voice floated out again, frightening everyone. Now, regardless of whether they knew these two people or not, the consequences would be severe. So domineering. Of course, some gods were not reconciled. This man, catch him, kill him, and exterminate his entire clan. Unfortunately, saying this in the Ocean Saint City could not escape Xianxia's senses. Xianxia roared angrily. "Ah no, spare my life, I just spoke without thinking." That god's expression changed greatly, and he kept begging for mercy. What was more terrifying was that he was a Saint Universe god. However, in the Ocean Saint City, ordinary Saint Universe gods were useless. A large number of great beings from the Silver Moon clan besieged that god and killed him in the end. This man is Moon Elder Wan Shan. We know his whereabouts. Someone said solemnly. Come, exterminate the entire clan of Moon Elder Wan Shan. If anyone in the City of Myriad Gods dares to stop you, just say that this is the order of the Silver Moon clan. Oh. The cold voice floated throughout the city. It was incomparably domineering and arrogant. It was obvious that the Silver Moon clan was truly furious. For Lin Ling and Feng Yu, they did not hesitate to stir up an era. They were swift and decisive, and they wanted to know the whereabouts of Lin Ling and Feng Yu immediately. I know that old man is Taoist Master Duo Bao. Finally, someone said anxiously. Good. This person will be heavily rewarded. With a flash of light, a tall and sturdy middle-aged man appeared on the street. He was 2 meters tall and had a thick silver beard on his face. He wore a silver robe and had an awe-inspiring presence. With his hands behind his back, he looked down at the person who spoke. Being stared at by this middle-aged man, that god trembled all over. He did not dare to look at him and lowered his head to speak. Speak! The middle-aged man was Xianxia. His appearance silenced the entire city, and the gods even slowed down their breathing. This person fought with me on the first level of the Dao Tower, so I know him. I know him, but if I tell you, you must protect me because he knows many great beings. I'm afraid he will come back to kill me. That god lowered his head and said, Don't worry, the Silver Moon clan will protect you. Xianxia said coldly, You just need to tell me where he came from. He came from the void of Zhou. He has many friends, including Lin Ling and the great god of Ling Nation. Alright, the 5 emperors are also friends with him. Among them, the Yellow Emperor is the most familiar with him. That god gritted his teeth and said. He knew that if he did not speak, he would die. The Yellow Emperor, is it? Come, protect this person for the rest of his life. Give him treasures. Give him whatever he wants. Xianxia shouted, incomparably heroic. He wanted Lin Ling and Feng Yu to know that if they dared to kill his son, even if they hid at the ends of the earth, it was useless. The Silver Moon clan had the power to plunder everything. Chapter 5000. Yellow Emperor, I know. I met them not long ago. They just entered the 3rd level and are now in the area of Tree City. They are gathering. A god said. I know too. Even more gods shouted, deeply afraid that they would be implicated as well. Tree City, is it? Let's go to Tree City immediately. Yin Guang ordered. With a wave of his arm, the entire city shook. A large number of Silver Moon battleships flew out. His body turned into a ray of light and disappeared. He reappeared on the battleships and flew towards Tree City. How terrifying! Yeah, the Silver Moon clan's anger is unstoppable. They used all their ancient forces to kill those two. Those two are idiots. They could have provoked anyone but the Silver Moon clan. They even killed Wentian. There's no way to stop them. It's a pity that their family and friends are going to suffer. Watching the Silver Moon clan leave, the people of Ocean Saint City discussed animatedly. At this moment, the city of myriad gods was also in an uproar. The news spread like a snowball. The faces of the city lords changed slightly. It was the first time they saw the Silver Moon clan so crazy to plunder two people in the city of myriad gods. Those two are crazy. The Yellow Emperor is related to them. He's unlucky. All the city lords were whispering to each other. Far away in the north, in the vast tree city. The trees here were dense and filled with the rare universe wood origin. The tree city was also one of the cities of myriad gods. There was a mysterious primordial chi under the ground that nourished everything. Brother Yellow Emperor, feel free to cultivate here. We won't be taking any of the treasures. An old man in a green robe smiled at the Yellow Emperor and the others. Haha, green-robed ancestor, that's not good. The Yellow Emperor smiled at the green-robed ancestor as he led tens of thousands of gods to cultivate nearby. He naturally knew the green-robed ancestor. The green-robed ancestor was an ancient tree from the Desolation era and was extremely powerful. However, the Yellow Emperor did not expect the green-robed ancestor to reach the third level before him and become the city lord of Tree City. Of course, the green-robed ancestor was very powerful and qualified. What's not good about it? We fought side by side in the past. I call you brother because I treat you as a brother. The green-robed ancestor smiled. All right, then I, the Yellow Emperor, will take advantage of you. The Yellow Emperor didn't act pretentiously either. He had known the green-robed ancestor for a long time and knew that this person had many good friends. Being courteous to him would instead be insulting him. Ha ha ha. Seeing that the Yellow Emperor didn't refuse, the green-robed ancestor couldn't help but smile and said, Our tree city includes the entire forest. You can peacefully cultivate here. No one will disturb you. He knew very well that the Yellow Emperor was one of the 5 great ancient emperors. He might be weak now, but he would definitely be stronger in the future. Befriending him now would be beneficial in the future. Everyone, please. The green-robed ancestor said to the crowd. Thank you, Senior. Yu, Lei Gong, and the others gathered here and returned the greeting politely. After the green-robed ancestor left, they all said to the Yellow Emperor, Yellow Emperor, your brother is very good. Now, we're going to set up camp in Tree City. Everyone can gather here. We'll have a place to set up camp in the future. Everyone will also find this place. Hee hee. The green-robed ancestor has always been hospitable. The Yellow Emperor felt proud and couldn't help but laugh. They didn't notice that the green-robed ancestor and the others had stopped in their tracks. A god was whispering something in front of him, causing the green-robed ancestor's expression to change constantly. Ancestor, the Silver Moon tribe is rushing over. They're asking for the Yellow Emperor by name. They have ill intentions. Not good. We must inform the Yellow Emperor and the others and have them leave immediately. The green-robed ancestor's expression was extremely serious. He wanted to turn around. However, a few people beside him immediately pulled him back. Ancestor, we can't do that. The Silver Moon tribe knows that the Yellow Emperor is in Tree City. If they escape, wouldn't we have to bear the consequences? Moreover, the Yellow Emperor and the others killed the son of the Silver Moon tribe's leader. That's a great crime. No one or anything can make up for it. If we help the Yellow Emperor and the others, we'll be going against the Silver Moon tribe. That's right. It wasn't easy for us to take over Tree City. Are we going to waste hundreds of years of effort just because of a few outsiders? Even if you don't look at yourself, you have to look at your brothers. The green-robed ancestor's expression changed drastically. He gritted his teeth. You want me to betray them? This isn't betrayal. It's just that I can't help with this matter. Yes, let them face the Silver Moon tribe. We're already doing our duty by not doing anything. The others continued to persuade him. In the future, if they find out that I'm the one who harmed them, how am I going to face them? With their temper, they'll definitely kill us. After all, they treated me like a brother and I betrayed them. The green-robed ancestor kept shaking his head. With just them? The other gods snorted. They're not even as strong as us now. Let's talk about it after they escape from the Silver Moon tribe. Ancestor, we can't miss this opportunity. Don't go down the wrong path. The green-robed ancestor finally made up his mind. He turned around and looked at the Yellow Emperor in the distance. His eyes were filled with guilt. The Yellow Emperor seemed to have noticed the green-robed ancestor's gaze. He looked over and smiled apologetically. It was as if he felt bad for disturbing Tree City. The green-robed ancestor couldn't bear to look at this smile. In the end, he left silently. Seeing that the green-robed ancestor didn't care about this matter, the other gods sneered and began to supervise Lei Gong and the others. Time passed quietly. Finally, a majestic aura appeared in the sky. A large number of battleships covered the entire Tree City. Who's the Yellow Emperor? A loud and deafening roar came crashing down. The Yellow Emperor and the others were cultivating in the dense forest. When they heard this, their expressions changed drastically. The Silver Moon tribe and the Yellow Emperor are there. Someone pointed at Lei Gong and the others and said, "You." Lei Gong and the others frowned because the person who pointed at them was the green-robed ancestor's trusted aide. Moreover, they saw that the green-robed ancestor and the others had disappeared. They didn't know where they went. "Very good, it's you." A burly middle-aged man floated out from a huge battleship in the sky. With a wave of his right hand, the portraits of Lin Ling and Taoist Duo Bao appeared. "Do you know these two people?" Yin Wan Guang asked. "This." Lei Gong and the others had serious expressions. They didn't answer for a while. "Not going to say it? If not, all of you will die." Yin Wan Guang's voice was filled with killing intent. "These people are very strong. Let me deal with them." The Yellow Emperor knew that he had no choice but to step forward. He said, "We know each other. One of them is Lin Ling, and the other is Taoist Master Duo Bao. I wonder if there is any misunderstanding between you two?" Chapter 5001. Your son. The Yellow Emperor and the others were shocked. They guessed that Lin Ling had gotten himself into big trouble. They stared at the experts in the sky, and guessed that it must be a big trouble for them to come here in such a grandiose manner. "Do you regret it?" Yin Wanguang asked again, staring at the Yellow Emperor and the others. "Although I don't know what happened, there's nothing to regret. What are you going to do now? Kill us?" A voice suddenly rang out. It was Sakura. He smiled faintly and said, "If you want to see us begging for mercy so that you can lessen the pain of your lost son, I advise you to stop dreaming. We have experienced many ups and downs along the way. What's there to lose?" "I've never seen it before." "All right, who else thinks so?" Yin Wanguang laughed coldly. Me. Me too." Yu Yu and the others all spoke. Other than Shangyi and Nanwu Fengyu, the others looked at Yin Wanguang fearlessly. "Let me ask you one more time. Who is this Lin Ling to you?" Yin Wanguang asked. "He's our family and our leader." Yu Yu and the others spoke in unison. "All of you must die. I want him to experience the pain of losing his family and friends." "Ha ha ha." Yin Wanguang laughed maniacally. "The rest of you, if you want Lin Ling to die, step forward." Yin Wanguang spoke again. The Yellow Emperor and the others fell silent, frowning. Emperor Jun clenched his teeth and was about to beg for mercy. "We are all Lin Ling's friends. If he kills your son, then your son deserves to die." Suddenly, Emperor Shun said indifferently, his eyes fixed on Yin Wanguang. "Emperor Shun." Emperor Shun looked at Emperor Shun in disbelief. One had to know that Emperor Shun was Lin Ling's greatest enemy. Although they had made peace, there was no grudge between them? "Great Emperor Di Jun, we should be united after coming to the 3rd level. If we fight among ourselves, how can we reach the 4th level? This Tao Pagoda has existed since ancient times and represents the strongest great cosmos. It is a powerful force that can fight against the primal chaos realm, but this path is definitely not an easy one. Great Emperor Di Jun, if you are afraid of death, why did you enter the Tao Pagoda in the first place? Why don't we find a place to hide and cultivate? Isn't that safer? Since you've entered this place, you should be prepared to die," Emperor Shun said. Emperor Jun's expression changed slightly, and he gradually fell silent. He wanted to beg for mercy because he didn't want to die. However, since he did not want to die, why did he enter the Tao Pagoda? "Fine, all of you will die. I will kill you one by one in front of Lin Ling and Taoist master of many treasures. Yin Wan Guang said savagely. With a stomp of his foot, the silver light battleship shot out a huge beam of light, enveloping everyone on the ground. The Yellow Emperor's eyes were cold and he wanted to attack. He was not the kind of person who would allow others to trample on him. Who dares to resist? Everyone related to him will die. However, Yin Wan Guang's angry roar made the Yellow Emperor's pupils constrict. In the end, he did not attack. His gaze turned to the tree city and landed on the green-robed ancestor. The Yellow Emperor knew very well that if he resisted, the green-robed ancestor would definitely be implicated. And this matter had nothing to do with the green-robed ancestor. Old brother Yellow Emperor. Sensing the Yellow Emperor's gaze, the green-robed ancestor felt a heart-wrenching pain. Even at this time, the Yellow Emperor still believed in him. But what about him? He was worse than a dog. Take them away. Under Yin Wan Guang's roar, the silver moonlight enveloped hundreds of thousands of people, and they flew majestically into the distance. They're finally gone. Looking at the tree city again, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Although they were also the city of myriad gods, they were obviously unable to resist Yin Wan Guang. And if Yin Wan Guang wanted to destroy them, it would be a matter of killing 1,000 enemies and injuring 800 of his own men. If it were any other time, Yin Wan Guang would naturally not be so crazy. But now, his son was dead. How could he not go crazy? Look, the culprit has been caught. It shouldn't be. It's probably someone related to the culprit. Sigh, they're really unlucky. Hundreds of thousands of people died to atone for their sins. The Silver Moon clan is indeed domineering. The huge Silver Moon battleship flew across the sky, and the people they met along the way were all discussing. Yin Wan Guang, I'll help you. As they passed by Zhongyuan City, the Zhongyuan ancestor let out a low growl. Yin Wentian left in my Zhongyuan City. I can't escape from this matter. All right. Yin Wan Guang nodded coldly. The Zhongyuan ancestor pointed out a direction and led Yin Wan Guang and the rest into the distance. How did Lin Ling provoke these experts? Looking at their background, they're probably not much weaker than the Rotten tribe. Brother Ling wouldn't provoke them for no reason. They must have provoked Brother Ling first, and Brother Ling was forced to fight back. Now, where did Lin Ling go? I hope he's fine. The Yellow Emperor, Lei Gong, and the rest were constantly discussing. They were very worried about Lin Ling. After a long time, the group stopped in a forest. They disappeared into the forest. The Zhongyuan ancestor said indifferently. It's actually such a demonic forest. Yin Wan Guang's face turned even colder as he shouted, "Destroy this demonic forest for me." He was very clear that ordinary people couldn't kill his son. Moreover, his son had brought out so many experts. It must be this forest that had stopped his son and the rest. Rumble. In the sky, hundreds of Silver Moon battleships gathered divine light and bombarded the ground. Xiao xiao xiao. Countless vines rushed out from the ground, and the more they were attacked, the stronger the counterattack. Destroy! However, Yin Wan Guang was already in a killing frenzy. He ordered the Silver Moon clan to fight force and kill with all their might. With Yin Wentian dead, the entire Silver Moon clan has gone crazy. They're even fighting force in the demonic forest. If they're not crazy, what are they? At this time, whoever provokes them is equivalent to having half a foot in the underworld. I wonder if the two murderers will be caught in the end. In the distance, a large number of gods flew over. Seeing the demonic scene before them, their faces were all pale. Silver Moon clan, I'm here to help you. Moreover, some gods took the opportunity to befriend the Silver Moon clan and help out. Rumble. After an unknown period of time, the terrifying demonic forest was also eradicated. Flames soared into the sky, and the huge vines fell to the ground powerlessly, burned by the flames. Advance. Yin Wan Guang seemed to be showing his anger to the world, showing the power of the Silver Moon clan. Tens of millions of gods advanced once again with great vigor. However, this time, the endless clouds stopped them. Destroy! Yin Wan Guang ordered the Silver Moon clan to attack again. Rumble! However, no matter how powerful the attacks were, they would eventually disappear without a trace. This attack went on for a full 2 hours. However, the clouds continued to tumble and didn't move at all. Not to mention attacking, Even the powerful devouring power couldn't devour the clouds. Attack! Yin Wan Guang seemed to be getting more and more anxious. He couldn't wait to avenge his son's death. Yin Wan Guang, don't. However, the Zhong Yuan ancestor immediately dissuaded him. The others also spoke one after another. Chapter 5002. Hearing everyone's advice, Yin Wan Guang roared, "What's there to be afraid of? I'm going to fight it out with them. Is there anything in this world that can stop me from taking revenge?" Everyone was shocked. They felt that Yin Wan Guang had lost his mind. Yin Wan Guang, if you get lost in there too, that would be too easy for the culprit. How are you going to take revenge for your son? However, an elder suddenly advised. His words made Yin Wan Guang calm down. Only when it concerned his son's revenge could he remain calm. Then what do you all say? If they hide in there and don't come out, are we going to wait here forever? Yin Wan Guang roared. How about this? Kill their family and friends. After all, if they are gods, they can sense that their family and friends are in danger. As long as the feeling accumulates, they will know that we are outside the clouds. If they don't come out, we'll keep killing until they come out. The elder suggested. He was the five-spirit prophet, and he was an ancient five-spirit tree. You're right, five-spirit prophet. Yin Wan Guang nodded. Sigh, I only hope that the Silver Moon clan won't do anything that will affect the peace of the city of myriad gods. The five-spirit prophet said. Don't worry, I only want the culprit. Yin Wan Guang nodded. He looked at the Yellow Emperor and the others and said indifferently, Who among you is closest to those two? Step forward. I'm his wife. Yu stepped forward immediately. Yu. Everyone was shouting loudly, not understanding why Yu took the initiative to walk out. You're really straightforward. Yin Wan Guang was also very surprised. We can't escape death, so why drag it out? Yu shook her head and said. She was not afraid of death. She knew very well that they would definitely die if they were surrounded by so many experts. Since they could not escape death, she might as well be straightforward. She hoped that her death would let Lin Ling know that he would leave this place and come back for revenge after he became stronger. All right, since you're so straightforward, I'll give you a quick death. Yin Wan Guang nodded. With a wave of his hand, the silver light turned into a light pillar and shot towards Yu. Rumble! Yu was bathed in moonlight and could not resist at all. Her body continued to burn. Yu! Lei Gong and the others were all shouting. They wanted to save Yu, but the silver light that enveloped them was too strong. They couldn't resist at all. He could only watch as Yu was burned to death. Brother Ling! Yu remained motionless, with only a blissful smile on her face. It was as if she had returned to the Gu Yen sect in the rainforest, the scene of a young man and a young woman holding hands under the sun, walking further and further away. Yu is satisfied to be able to follow you for the rest of your life. Yu must not come out until you become stronger. Yu, I won't be able to take care of you anymore. In a million years, Brother Ling, you must remember Yu. Although Yu had a blissful smile on her face, because of her reluctance to part with Lin Ling, a tear flowed out from the corner of her eye. However, they were all burned to ashes in the end. Yu. Seeing Yu die, and Yuer and the others all shouted and cried sadly. Who's the second one? It's me. I'm also his wife. And Yuer shouted and tears flowed down uncontrollably. Good. I didn't expect you to be so straightforward. Don't blame me. If you want to blame someone, blame your man for killing my son. Yin Wan Guang nodded coldly and burned in Yuer again. Lin Ling, right? Are you still not coming out? If you don't come out, your family and friends will all die. Also, don't think that this matter is settled. If you don't come out for a million years, I'll enter the underworld and ask for the reincarnation manual to find out the whereabouts of your family and friends. Even if they reincarnate, I'll take their lives. Come out. Yin Wan Guang's eyes were red and he kept shouting. That's crazy. Hundreds of thousands of people were all killed just for Yin Wentian. Haha, who asked those two to court death? Some people sympathized with Yin Wan Guang, while others gloated. Kill again. After Yin Wan Guang killed an Yuer, he attacked again. At this moment, in the depths of the fog, two figures were sitting cross-legged and cultivating. Suddenly, Lin Ling felt uneasy, and then he spat out a large mouthful of blood. His pupils trembled, and his heart felt like it was being cut by a knife. Then, he spat out mouthfuls of blood. Lin Ling, what's wrong with you? Don't scare me. Spiritual Master Duobao's expression changed drastically. He didn't know what had happened. However, Lin Ling did not pay attention to him. Instead, he stood up and looked at the rolling clouds. Why do I have this feeling? They told me not to go out. No. Lin Ling's heart was in pain. It was the first time in his life that he felt such pain. No. He kept shouting and kneeling on the ground, kowtowing as tears flowed out crazily. Lin Ling, what's wrong with you? Spiritual Master Duobao was scared out of his wits. He looked at Lin Ling, who was crying in pain, and found it hard to imagine that this was the #1 god in Jianghu. This was a man who had killed his way to the Tao realm and met countless ancient gods, yet he didn't retreat in the slightest. Such a man was actually crying. Yu, senior sister Yu, who is it? Who is killing them? Lin Ling suddenly stood up, and a terrifying aura erupted from his body. The fog was attacked and turned into a vacuum. Yu and the others. Spiritual Master Duobao knew what had happened, but he was afraid that it was a trap. Then, he saw Lin Ling striding forward. Lin Ling, don't be rash. This might be a trap. Spiritual Master Duobao roared and rushed in front of Lin Ling to stop him. However, when he saw Lin Ling, his heart felt as if it had been struck by lightning. This was because this indomitable man had tears of blood flowing out of his eyes. How sad must a person be for him to shed tears of blood? At this moment, Spiritual Master Duobao didn't stop Lin Ling. Instead, he silently followed Lin Ling. His heart felt as if it was being cut by a knife. It was as if he could feel Lin Ling's sadness. Dead, they are all dead. Yellow Emperor, Lei Gong, they are all dead. Lin Ling was like a walking corpse as he slowly walked forward. This way. A voice was guiding Lin Ling to walk out of the fog. The voice came from Lin Ling's square prison. It was obviously the green-robed Taoist. Are you crazy? The silver moon race must be forcing him out, and you are actually guiding the way. Guang Qingzi, this is a life-and-death calamity that he must face. You and I cannot interfere. The voice was constantly drifting out, but no one heard it. Lin Ling was still walking forward. Scenes appeared in his mind. The Gu Yan sect that he met with Yu, the Heaven Mystics Kingdom that helped in Yuer, the Lei Gong that he met in the 9 Prefectures Void, the Yellow Emperor that he met in the Tao realm. There were too many things. These were all his family and friends. He had always been protecting his family, even in the Tao Pagoda. But in the end they still died. Die for me. Chapter 5003. Outside the clouds, countless people sighed. Even some cold-blooded gods shook their heads secretly. Killing hundreds of thousands of people in front of so many people just for the sake of 2 people. Not everyone could do such a thing. However, at this moment, a sword rushed out of the clouds. The rolling clouds were actually split into 2. A white-haired man, holding a sword, walked out step by step. His pace wasn't fast, but he appeared in front of everyone in the blink of an eye. Behind him was an old man. The 2 of them are the murderers who killed Yin Wentian? So cold. Why did his hair turn white? Everyone was extremely shocked. They never thought that the 2 of them would be the ones who stirred up the storm on the 3rd level. However, when their gazes landed on the white-haired man, they felt a chill in their hearts. Even looking at him was so cold, let alone approaching him. You finally came out? After seeing who it was, Yin Guang's eyes turned red. You must be angry, right? Ha ha ha, how does it feel to watch your family and friends die? Yin Guang roared ferociously as if he was venting something. When you killed my son, didn't you think about my feelings? Yin Guang, finally gave birth to a son after so many years, but you killed him. What can't you talk to me about? Tell me, what can't we talk about? Why did you have to kill him? It's you. You killed them together. At that time, I asked you to stop, but you just had to attack. Now, you know what kind of mistake you made. Yin Guang kept roaring. With every sentence he said, his emotions rose. In the end, he even exploded with a terrifying aura. However, Lin Ling and Zhenren of many treasures ignored him. Instead, they stared at the remaining people. Lin Ling's hair was white, and he looked as if he had lost his soul. He couldn't see Yu and the others. He couldn't see his big brother, Lei Gong, Shengyi, and the others. Lin Ling, the Yellow Emperor, Great Emperor Xianxia, and the others were still there. At this moment, they were all looking at Lin Ling. When they saw Lin Ling's white hair and cold aura, they didn't know why, but they felt a heartache. They were too familiar with this man. They knew that even when he was suppressed under the 9 hells, he had never been so sad. Ha ha ha, not speaking, I'll kill you again. Seeing Lin Ling's silence, Yin Wan Guang gritted his teeth and roared. Nan Wufeng Yu. Of you. Lin Ling finally spoke. He stepped forward and slashed forward with his sword. Stop him. Yin Wan Guang roared, wanting Lin Ling to taste the pain of losing his friends and family. Many of the Silver Moon race's experts rushed out to stop Lin Ling. Yin Wan Guang continued to burn Nan Wufeng Yu with his silver moonlight. Lin Ling, every injustice has its perpetrator. You killed my son, so I'll bury your friends and family with you. In the future, if you have the ability, you can bury my ocean sacred city with you. Yin Wan Guang, can do that. Unfortunately, you'll never have that day. Yin Wan Guang laughed heartily. He seemed to be very happy, but many people could sense that this laughter was a kind of madness. Xiao. Lin Ling didn't say a word. He just slashed out. Hong Long Long. The dazzling sword slashed out, and half of the charging Silver Moon gods were slain. Many of them were universe gods, but they were all useless. Everyone's expression changed. What was Lin Ling's sword? Why was it so powerful? Stop him. Yin Wan Guang didn't kill Lin Ling. How could he let Lin Ling off so easily? Even if he had to sacrifice his life, he wanted Lin Ling to witness the deaths of his family and friends. Stop. Lin Ling roared again. He went on a killing spree. He was in a killing frenzy. As long as it was someone in front of Nan Wufeng Yu, he would kill them all. Stop him. Yin Wan Guang roared, calling for more experts to attack. These experts knew that their goal wasn't to kill Lin Ling, but to stop Lin Ling from saving Nan Wufeng Yu. Yin Wan Guang, I'll help you. Central Yuan Old Ancestor also attacked. He looked coldly at Lin Ling. The two of you caused me to be implicated. Now you're bearing my anger. Lin Ling, I'll help you. At this moment, Taoist of Many Treasures also attacked. He activated his world will to help Lin Ling. Sigh, why kill so much? However, the 5 spirit prophet sighed. With a wave of his hand, an ancient 5-colored tree branch appeared in his hand. He gently brushed it. This brushing carried powerful divine power and the power of the universe. The devouring power released by Taoist of Many Treasures was swept far away. You all are despicable. Taoist of Many Treasures' eyes were red. He gritted his teeth and roared, if Yin Wentian hadn't wanted to steal my world will and take our lives, we wouldn't have killed them. Although we've killed countless people in our lives, we can't just wait to be captured. Here. Although we're gods, we're also humans. Since we're humans, we can't do it. We can't do anything. Unfortunately, no one paid attention to him. Everyone frantically attacked to stop Lin Ling. Lin Ling's white hair fluttered. His eyes were as red as blood. The cold air released from his body froze everything within 1,000 miles. But in the end, he could only watch as Nan Wufeng Yu died. It's their turn now. Yin Wan Guang activated his silver light and attacked the Yellow Emperor. Dang! Lin Ling's sword was also constantly killing gods, but he still couldn't save anyone. Powerless, in pain, ha ha ha. Yin Wan Guang laughed even louder. Lin Ling, don't be sad. The moment we stepped into the Tao Pagoda, we were prepared to die. In this universe, no god is immortal. The Yellow Emperor's body was burning, but he looked at Lin Ling and smiled. Lin Ling's heart exploded. Although he had known this for a long time, seeing his family and friends die was still a knife to his heart. He still couldn't accept it. Lin Ling, we don't blame you. Emperor Shun was also burning. She looked at Lin Ling and smiled. Emperor Jun, Emperor Xianxia, and the others had complicated expressions. But knowing that they were going to die, they gradually relaxed. Lin Ling, the path to the end of the Tao Pagoda was never easy. We can only say that we failed. The 5 emperors gradually turned to dust. Their souls were also burned into nothingness, dissipating into the sky. Gradually, Hundreds of thousands of gods were burned. The scene was incomparably spectacular. Surprisingly, no one blamed Lin Ling. Everyone was prepared to die. Perhaps, when they weren't facing death, they were strong enough to survive. But when they felt that death was inevitable, they could face it openly. Perhaps they knew that they had done their best. Die, all of you. Chapter 5004. Now it's your turn. After venting his anger, Yin Guang looked coldly at Lin Ling and said, I know that you are the hosts of the world will and can be reincarnated. However, it will be difficult for you to enter the Tao Pagoda. You can only enter the weak myriad worlds. I will find you there. You will kill your family and friends in the myriad worlds again until you are too afraid to reincarnate. Ha ha ha. Hearing Yin Guang's words, many people shook their heads secretly. He was too cruel. Kill for generations to come, kill for people to collapse, kill for people to not dare to reincarnate. Wait, you can't kill him. However, at this time, a large number of figures appeared. They were all wearing monk robes. They were the three gods of White Mountain. Get out of here. Yin Guang recognized them, but he still roared. Silver Moon Clan, this is the order of the Buddha God. I hope you can give us some face. Among those people, the leader sighed and said, Revenge breeds revenge. When will it ever end? This will only make you sink into hatred for the rest of your life. Why don't you just let it go? You've killed hundreds of thousands of Lin Ling's people. Give Lin Ling to us and we'll purify him. Yes. Get out of here. However, Yin Guang did not compromise. He took a step forward and charged toward Lin Ling. But at this time, more people came to help. More than a dozen figures appeared, and their strength was heaven-defying. One of them slashed out with a sword, and actually blocked the silver light. Pure sun. Yin Guang looked up and his expression changed dramatically. He looked at the others and found that they were all as strong as him. You can't kill Lin Ling. Pure Sun pointed his sword at Yin Guang and said, He is the disciple of Patriarch Bodhi. You can't kill him. Get the hell out of here. Even if Patriarch Bodhi is here today, I'll still kill them all. Taoist Pure Sun, I'll give you some face and let this matter rest. But if you dare to stop me again, don't blame me for being impolite. Yin Guang said angrily, Don't think that Patriarch Bodhi is great. Our god ancestor Silver Moon is not afraid of him. God ancestor Silver Moon is indeed powerful, and we respect him. But we can compromise on anything, except for Lin Ling. Taoist Pure Sun shook his head. Hee, Mr. Pure Sun, what do you want Lin Ling for? Could it be that you are very interested in the host body of the world will? However, at this time, there were more experts who arrived. Their bodies reeked of stench, and they all wore large cloaks. Their bodies were covered in flying bugs. The gods in the surroundings immediately dodged far away, their expressions grave. Everyone knew that this group was from the ancient universe race, the rotting race. Yin Guang, we will help you. After the rotten race appeared, they all leaned towards the Silver Moon race. They had great enmity with Lin Ling, so naturally, they would not let Lin Ling off. Who would have thought that Lin Ling and Luofeng would attract so many ancient races of the universe? When the crowd saw this scene, they all sighed repeatedly. Is that so? Then I will represent the Sun God race to help Lin Ling. However, at this moment, more people from the ancient races of the universe arrived. They bloomed with the light of the sun and stood on equal footing with the Silver Moon race. Sun God race. Many people's pupils trembled fiercely. One had to know that there were not many people from the Sun God race in the city of myriad gods. Moreover, their relationship with the Silver Moon race had always been bad. At this sensitive moment, they actually planned to help Lin Ling and provoke the relationship between the two races. Relationship. Sun God race scram. Yin Guang was enraged. He did not expect that Lin Ling and Luofeng would attract so many people's help. However, those who helped were not weak. If he wanted to kill Lin Ling and Luofeng, it would be very difficult. You dare to kill my people? I will kill you. However, just as everyone thought that the two sides were in a difficult situation, a cold voice suddenly sounded. This voice came from Lin Ling. I will handle my own family matters. Lin Ling's white hair fluttered in the wind. His body suddenly enlarged, turning into a panga giant and charging towards Yin Guang. He actually wanted revenge. Whoever dares to stop me will be the enemy of I, Lin Ling. When Taoist Pure Sun and the others heard this, they did not dare to make a move. Lin Ling, you are not his match. Within the sun god race, the 12-winged sun god anxiously shouted. Unfortunately, Lin Ling did not hear it all. Even if he did, he would not have cared. There was only one person in his eyes, and that was Yin Wan Guang. Come and fight. Yin Wan Guang's body also enlarged, turning into an angry heavenly god as he viciously struck out with his palm. A full 500 billion divine force was struck out, and the entire sky seemed to explode. Boom, boom, boom. Even the gods who were close to him were blown apart. Boom. Lin Ling also punched out, but his huge body flew backwards. Facing 500 billion divine force, he could not block it. Bang. However, Lin Ling was like a madman as he pounced forward again. 3 extreme universe breaks were released at the same time. Lin Ling, I will help you. Taoist myriad treasures also flew out, fearlessly helping Lin Ling. And Yin Wan Guang's body bloomed with dazzling and ferocious moonlight as he pointed at Taoist myriad treasures. Walala! Taoist myriad treasures turned into nothingness at a visible speed, unable to withstand a single blow. Moreover, the moonlight pierced through Taoist myriad treasures and landed on the distant gods, obliterating tens of thousands of them. Although Yin Wan Guang was only a saint universe god, he was definitely one of the best, and his strength was incomparably terrifying. Break for me! After killing Taoist myriad treasures, Yin Wan Guang roared, and his divine force reached 800 billion, blocking Lin Ling's 3 extreme universe breaks. One had to know that this was soul power. This meant that the most basic attack of the gods, the power of the gods, could also reverse the universe if it was strong to the limit. Lin Ling, you want to kill me? Do you have the right to do so? The silver light brought with it a blinding moonlight and charged towards Lin Ling. He punched out and the universe appeared. It was vast and mighty, destroying everything in its path. Lin Ling knew that he was no match for Yin Wan Guang, but he didn't retreat. His right fist collided with Yin Wan Guang's, and with a boom, his entire arm exploded, blood splattering everywhere. Boom! Yin Wan Guang withdrew his fist, and his fists rained down on Lin Ling's chest like a storm. Some of his fists penetrated Lin Ling's chest, while others destroyed Lin Ling's internal organs. Die! However, Lin Ling didn't seem to feel pain. His left fist was still attacking, landing on Yin Wan Guang's face. Although it didn't cause any fatal injuries, it knocked Yin Wan Guang's head askew. The two of them were like the most ancient giants who had mastered simple and crude close combat. Of course, no one dared to underestimate this close combat, because the power of their battle was enough to destroy any great universe. He's not seeking revenge, he's seeking death. The 12-winged young god saw this scene, and his heart suddenly ached. Lin Ling's wife, family, and friends were all dead. Lin Ling's heart was dead, so he was more like accompanying his family and friends on the road to death. You dare hit me? Dang! After being punched by Lin Ling, Yin Wan Guang was enraged. He pushed his divine force to 1 trillion and attacked Lin Ling's head. This punch could take Lin Ling's life. Chapter 5005. The huge finger pierced through the void and shot towards Yin Wan Guang at a terrifying speed. It was not difficult for this finger to destroy the great universe. Yin Wan Guang also seemed to have gone mad. Not only did he not block it, but his huge palm was like a fan that ruthlessly slapped towards Lin Ling's head. Both of them were bloodshot. They were venting their anger for their loved ones. This was a battle to the death. Of course, Yin Wan Guang was strong and could fight, but Lin Ling might not. Puff! The giant finger arrived first, breaking through Yin Wan Guang's protective spirit essence and landing on Yin Wan Guang's left eye. With a puff, the left eye was pierced through and blood gushed out like a raging river. This was a ghastly sight. Countless people cried out in alarm. However, Yin Wan Guang acted as if he didn't know pain. His huge palms slammed towards Lin Ling with terrifying divine energy. Rumble! The deafening sound was like thunder. Lin Ling's cheeks were deformed and his bones cracked. Then, his entire head exploded. Blood turned into a bloody mist and dyed the sky red. Ha ha ha, die for me. After Yin Wan Guang succeeded, he punched at Lin Ling. With a boom, he broke Lin Ling's heart. At this moment, the 12-winged young god and Taoist Pure Sun both shouted. Their bodies trembled and they finally fell silent. Time seemed to have stopped at this moment. Lin Ling's headless corpse floated in the air, but gradually lost its vitality. His strength poured out like a great universe collapsing, exploding with a boom. Blood rained down from the sky. The scene was extremely spectacular. Dead. Lin Ling, who came from the void of the 9 states, was finally killed. Looking at this scene, everyone's breathing seemed to have stopped. They did not even blink. Of course, many people were not familiar with Lin Ling. They just suddenly felt that this man was a true hero. Even if someone helped him, even if someone saved him, he did not want it. He wanted to fight with his life on the line. His family and friends had died in front of him. He could not be a coward. He only wanted to fight. Yin Wan Guang is blind. Everyone looked at the silvery light floating in the sky, and their hearts trembled violently. Yin Wan Guang's left eye seemed to have been attacked by some unknown force, and it couldn't recover. Only an empty eye hole was left, and blood kept flowing out. It looked very ferocious. Ha ha ha, how dare you kill my son? How dare you kill my son? However, Yin Wan Guang did not care about the pain in his eyes. Instead, he laughed wildly. He looked as if he was venting his anger, but also as if he was relieved. That man is indeed a tough nut to crack. He used his death in exchange for an eye that shone with a myriad of silver lights. Many people sighed inwardly. If it were them, they wouldn't be able to do this. At the very least, when one's life was at stake. So what if they were family or friends? Could they compare to one's own life? Alas! Taoist Pure Sun sighed and looked deeply at Yin Wan Guang. As for the 12-winged young god, her eyes were somewhat moist. She was moved by Lin Ling. This man did not hesitate to fight a bloody battle against his enemies for his wife, for his family, and for his friends. He did not fear death. This was a real man. Suddenly, she envied the Yellow Emperor and the others. Look, he's not dead yet. Suddenly, someone cried out in surprise. The rain of blood was still falling from the sky, but a white-haired man was standing there. It was Lin Ling. He looked coldly at everyone present and did not say a word. Impossible. Why isn't he dead yet? Many people were shocked. Being stared at by Lin Ling, they felt a chill in their hearts. He's already dead. This is his soul. Because he died with his eyes open, it will take some time to dissipate. However, at this moment, the 5 spirit prophets said indifferently. Hearing his words, many people relaxed. However, when they stared at Lin Ling's soul, the coldness in many people's hearts became even colder. A feeling spread in their hearts. It was fear. They did not know why they were afraid of that soul, but they felt that it was very terrifying, as if they were about to die in that soul. I'll be back. Suddenly, Lin Ling said softly. His soul finally began to dissipate as if it was being sucked into the universe. It flew toward the sky and gradually disappeared. I'll be back. This soft voice entered everyone's hearts and inexplicably made many people tremble. Would he be back? Although many people knew that this was simply impossible, they still felt very uncomfortable when they heard that curse-like voice. Ha ha ha, can you still come back? Among everyone, only Yin Wan Guang laughed loudly, not afraid at all. It was a pity that Lin Ling's soul had already dissipated. You are the host of the world's will. You will definitely be reincarnated. I will find you and kill all your friends and family in every life. Ha ha ha. Yin Wan Guang laughed crazily and led the people of the Silver Moon Race away. Everyone witnessed the disappearance of the Silver Moon Race and sighed in their hearts. In order to avenge his son, hundreds of thousands of people were buried with him. Even the Silver Moon Race had suffered countless casualties. Yin Wan Guang is too crazy. The 5 spirit prophets sighed. He knew very well that if he had not suggested killing Lin Ling's friends and family, perhaps even more people would have died in this battle. The crazy Yin Wan Guang was someone who could do anything. This is normal. Both of them fought for their friends and family. There is no right or wrong. It's only about who is stronger. Yin Wan Guang is right. That youth is also right. Their mistake is that they clashed with each other in their era and fought with each other. Someone suddenly said. It was Pure Sun. That's right. Between them, there is no right or wrong. Whoever is stronger will destroy the other's entire race. However, Yin Wan Guang is stronger. He won. The Vong Yuan patriarch also said. Sigh, what a sin. The five spirit prophets sighed softly. Perhaps if I had not made such an outrageous request, the outcome would have been different. Now, the situation has been decided. That man's departed soul is full of resentment and has a strong obsession. Perhaps he can really come back. It's possible. Upon hearing this, Patriarch Zhongyuan laughed out loud. Impossible. Gods who die in the Tao Pagoda will never be able to enter the Tao realm. They can only be reincarnated in the tiny myriad worlds. And after entering the underworld, their memories will be gone, and their cultivation will be gone. In addition, Yin Wan Guang will find him and continue to kill him. This will cause that man to be killed again and again, never to be reincarnated. The others nodded. After the death of the Tao Pagoda, everything they had before had disappeared. Perhaps, Lin Ling would no longer be Lin Ling. Let's go. Following that, everyone left one after another. Pure Sun and the others also looked at the ground and left in the end. The 12-winged young god was still standing there, as if she could not accept the news of Lin Ling's death. Then, she saw a large number of gods searching for something on the ground. Chapter 5006. What are you doing? The huge sword slashed down, causing many gods to be dissatisfied. If you want to find treasures, come down and find them yourself. Why are you attacking us? Could it be that you want to take everything for yourself? Someone said angrily. All of you go to hell. The 12-winged young god's killing intent surged as it pounced down. Sigh, what a sin. Seeing a large number of gods being killed, the 5 spirit prophets sighed again. You have guts. The remaining gods dispersed, not daring to provoke the solar god race. However, they were incomparably angry because they felt that the solar god race was too greedy. They actually wanted to monopolize all the gods' flesh and bones. Lin Ling, you will definitely come back. I will wait for you. The 12-winged young god continued to collect the flesh on the ground. Even if it was crushed into the size of a fingernail or dust, she would not let it go. As time passed, all the gods left. Only the 12-winged young god continued to collect Lin Ling's flesh and blood. 1 year passed, 2 years passed, 3 years passed. 10 years passed quietly. On the other side, the bronze door opened and appeared at the top of the Tao Tower, absorbing the souls of the dead. Pa, 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 pa. Inside the bronze door, terrifying nether lightning raged. Every soul that entered the bronze door was ravaged by the nether lightning. Their souls collapsed, leaving behind a weak soul that entered the netherworld. Because there were gods dying all the time in the Tao Tower, there were many gods that entered the bronze door. These gods were powerful when they were alive, and their souls were condensed, so they needed nether lightning to kill them. Moreover, the gods that entered the netherworld would no longer have their divine positions. If they reincarnated again, they would become mortals and would never be able to enter the ranks of gods again. After all, it was no longer the time of the great calamity of the world's will. There was no possibility of resurrection for gods. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. A powerful soul was struggling, and as it danced, the surrounding souls were all affected. The weaker souls were directly scattered, and they did not even have the chance to reincarnate. However, the suction force of the bronze door was incomparably powerful. It was like countless hands that pulled at the soul. No, no! The soul kept roaring, but it was finally killed by the nether lightning. Boom! Boom! 3 consecutive deafening sounds rang out. The previously lively soul was scattered, leaving behind only a wisp of soul that entered the underworld. And this wisp of soul had already lost its consciousness. It could only follow the laws in a daze. Damn it, the gate of the underworld, this is the gate of the underworld. Seeing this scene, the souls in the queue started to struggle, but it was useless. After the souls with intelligence were absorbed and destroyed by the nether thunder, they were all turned into souls with no consciousness. I died. And among the souls, a white-haired man was mumbling to himself, as if he was recalling something. When he looked up, he saw the underworld's bronze gate. The man finally reacted. He wanted to escape. However, he still couldn't escape the bindings of the bronze door. It was as if without the protection of the divine body, the bronze door was the nemesis of all souls. This is the soul of Lin Ling 9 Lightning Strike. At this moment, a dignified voice came from the bronze door, as if it had recognized Lin Ling. Lin Ling and the underworld had always had a great feud. The underworld had always wanted to find an opportunity to attack Lin Ling, but Lin Ling had repeatedly failed to die. Now, the underworld had finally found an opportunity. Lin Ling, to think that you would have such a day. Lin Ling's soul couldn't control itself and was sucked into the bronze door. Lightning flashed and thunder rumbled as nether lightning wreaked havoc. Universe 3 Extreme Destruction. Sword of Faith. Lin Ling's soul kept growling. However, the powerful killing move of the past seemed to have been completely destroyed by the powerful attack of the silver light and disappeared. Boom! Boom! At the same time, nether lightning struck Lin Ling's soul. Lin Ling's soul was extremely powerful, but it still couldn't withstand the nether lightning's attack. 3 more sounds rang out, and then another 3. Then, a total of 9 nether lightning bolts attacked Lin Ling. How terrifying! 9 lightning strike. This is a treatment that only the strongest universe giant gods can receive. Who is this person? Far away from the bronze door, many souls trembled. Even though the nether lightning wasn't attacking them, their souls were still trembling. Ha ha ha, Lin Ling. Faintly, a loud laugh sounded from the bronze door. However, the soul in the bronze door didn't move at all. It didn't make any sound of pain. Even though the soul was constantly being scattered, it didn't move. The huge soul was gradually beaten until it was the size of a tadpole. It was incomparably weak. All of its memories and thoughts disappeared, leaving only its consciousness. What a tough soul. It didn't make a sound. However, this is just the beginning of the calamity. Enter the underworld. A dignified voice came from the bronze door. It was activated by the laws, causing the tadpole-sized soul to swim along with the laws. As it moved, it was like swimming in the universe. Moreover, it moved along a trajectory. Looking at the pitch-black universe, there were white lights in all directions. They were actually densely packed tadpoles. They swam from all directions, forming a dazzling path of light. They swam towards the same place. And that place was obviously the main road to the underworld. Such a long journey was undoubtedly exhausting the soul. Many tadpole-sized souls were exhausted before they reached the end. Moreover, in this pitch-black universe, there were strange fish with lanterns hanging above their heads. They were as large as islands and specialized in eating souls. One bite was a large swath. And the lanterns above the strange fish had a bewitching smell, causing many souls to take the wrong path. They swam towards the lanterns and were ultimately devoured. The souls of gods couldn't be compared to the souls of mortals. If they wanted to enter the underworld, there were more trials and tribulations. After all, when mortals were reincarnated, they would be moving forward in another universe. Only gods would be in this universe. Lin Ling's soul has been scattered. If he enters the underworld, he will have to start all over again. Did you manage to preserve his memories? It's safe. His memories are the foundation of his comeback. Unfortunately, even if his memories are preserved, he will have to encounter more trials and tribulations if he wants to recover his former strength or even surpass it. Moreover, in the underworld, there are many people who want to make a move on Lin Ling. Yes. In the lonely and silent universe, 2 voices suddenly rang out. Not good, that strange fish that devours souls is swimming over. At this time, one of the voices exclaimed, "Quick, think of a way to make Lin Ling's soul go to another path." In the vast path of light, countless souls swam like tadpoles. They didn't know that a crisis was approaching. However, among them, a soul's swimming speed had obviously slowed down, as if there was a hand pulling it. Rumble! Because it was too slow, a huge mouth appeared in front of it and devoured a large number of souls. This soul managed to escape this calamity. What was terrifying was that even though they were swallowed, those tadpole souls still swam forward, not knowing that a crisis was approaching. Chapter 5007. The long group of souls continued to move forward. Throughout the process, souls of the dead joined in from time to time, and they were all unconscious. After a long time, a huge light spot appeared in front of them. They had arrived at the destination. After entering, it was the netherworld. The reason for the Bronze Gate and the universe of souls was to continuously weaken the power of the souls of the dead, so that the netherworld could control them. After entering the netherworld, they would have to wait in line to be reincarnated. Some souls of the dead with strong creation could be reincarnated as soon as they entered the netherworld. As for some souls with weaker creations, they would spend their entire lives in the netherworld, unable to reincarnate. While these souls of the dead were waiting for reincarnation, they were also working for the netherworld, searching for the netherworld ores. When one of the souls of the dead disappeared into the light spot, a voice sounded. Lin Ling. In the previous life, it was Li Xiaoyao. In this life, it is Lin Ling. The voice continued to sound, revealing the origin of the soul of the dead. Enter the 9-star netherworld mine. Then, the old voice arranged the way out for the soul of the dead. Obviously, this soul of the dead was not qualified to be reincarnated and had to go through 81 tribulations. These tribulations were all great tribulations to torture the soul of the dead. Only after the tribulations were completed could the soul of the dead be reincarnated. Generally speaking, only unpardonably evil gods or gods with extremely bad luck would have 81 tribulations. Hee, you dare to offend the netherworld. Now you are in our hands. Humph. This is just the beginning. The endless light was like a flame, constantly burning the soul of the dead, making it as small as a hair. Then, the soul of the dead followed the law and entered the netherworld. A gate appeared, and Lin Ling's soul of the dead swam in and was brought into a huge mine. This mine was like a starry sky, with a meteorite vortex. From time to time, souls of the dead would fly out with great difficulty with huge rocks. Rumble. However, the meteorite vortex would occasionally spin, and the souls of the dead that swam out would be swept away. They were instantly seriously injured, and their souls became even dimmer. Some souls of the dead that reacted slower were directly obliterated. However, most of these souls of the dead had the shape of a human, and the newly arrived soul of the dead that was the size of a hair gradually turned into a human after landing on the ground. It was a white-haired man, but his figure was incomparably dim, as if he would disappear at any time. It's already very impressive that this departed soul hasn't dissipated even after going through a great calamity. It's probably a soul that committed a great crime. What a pity. After entering the 9-star nether mining area, it's very difficult to persevere. Look. He has the mark of the netherworld on his forehead. He's probably a serious criminal amongst serious criminals, and he'll probably be unable to avoid suffering. The departed souls all around were whispering to each other. Pah! But at this moment, a bolt of lightning struck and landed on these dead souls, causing their souls to dim even more. Hurry up and get to work. A 2-meter-tall Yuxia with sharp fangs and a nether thunder whip in his hand said coldly. Then, it pounced on one of the souls and started to chomp on it, devouring the soul in large mouthfuls. No, Your Excellency, please spare my life. The soul that was being bitten became even dimmer as it begged for mercy. This was because he knew very well that once a soul completely dimmed, it would be destroyed, and there would be no more of him in this universe. Moreover, the process of being bitten was incomparably painful. No suffering in this world could compare to having one's soul torn apart. Hurry up and work, or I'll whip you to death. In the end, the Yuxia let the soul go. With a swing of his whip, he made the soul work day and night. These souls had to enter the dangerous meteorite vortex to dig for nether ores. They could only rest for 2 hours a day until the creation was born. Only then would they have the right to leave. However, it was too difficult for the creation to be born. Most of the departed souls had spent their entire lives mining here. Where is this? Who am I? At this moment, the white-haired man stood on the spot in a daze, as if he had lost all his memories. Pah! At this moment, the nether thunder whip swept over and landed on the white-haired man's body. His already weak soul was about to collapse at any moment. However, even though his soul was in intense pain, the white-haired man only frowned and then looked coldly at the Yuxia. This person must have been a tough nut to crack when he was alive. This is the first time I've seen someone who could grit his teeth and withstand the nether thunder whip. A large number of souls entered and exited the area. When they saw this scene, they were all shocked. How dare you stare at me? See if I don't eat you. The ferocious Yuxia was furious and wanted to tear the soul apart. However, at this moment, a 3-headed Yuxia appeared and suddenly grabbed the nether thunder whip. He said calmly, "This soul cannot die. You have to torture him until he recovers." "Yes, my lord." "All right, let him go and mine." The 3-headed Yuxia looked at the white-haired man and then said coldly. The surrounding souls immediately trembled. They knew that this was a nether guard. He had a higher status and was stronger. He was the nemesis of the departed souls. The white-haired man did not say a word. He followed the other souls into the meteorite vortex. Lin Ling, right? The higher-ups have instructed us to torture you well. Now that you've fallen into our hands, you'll suffer for 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years. The three-headed Xianxia looked at the white-haired man leaving. Its three heads sneered and were extremely ferocious. It did not know what kind of trouble Lin Ling had caused, but since he was in the mining area, it would not show mercy. At this moment, the white-haired man followed the crowd into the meteorite vortex. Rumble! The terrifying meteorite vortex rumbled and spun at a speed of 10 billion meters per second. After entering, the souls would be attacked by a strong wind. In the vortex, a large number of ores moved with the vortex at an extremely fast speed. The souls had to quickly obtain the ores in the vortex and then leave this place. If they left empty-handed, they would have to suffer the punishment of 10 lashes from the Xianxia. Kid, you're new here. Don't get too close to the periphery of the vortex. Go to the center. It's better to mine there. Sai, your soul is too scattered. If you're not careful, you might die here. The white-haired man walked forward and an old man beside him reminded him. The white-haired man looked at him indifferently and did not say a word. Instead, he flew to the center. Even so, it was still difficult for him to get close because his soul was too scattered. Get lost. Moreover, the ores in the center were easier to collect, so the vicious souls occupied it. When they saw the white-haired man approaching, they roared and a powerful storm blew the white-haired man away. The white-haired man's soul was too weak. How could he be a match for them? Moreover, he was blown to the periphery of the vortex. The area of rotation there was large, so the tearing force was even more terrifying. Slap! At the critical moment, the old man from before grabbed the white-haired man and stopped him from flying backward. Kid, those are great souls. Let them collect them first. The old man reminded him again. The white-haired man looked ahead coldly and did not say a word. He was as cold as ice, but he did not move forward again. Chapter 5008. Let's begin. Here, without the supervision of the underworld, it's the most suitable. Another voice sounded, causing the white-haired man's eyes to flash. The next moment, he felt that his soul was being torn apart, and a powerful force was forcefully stuffed into his soul. Heart-ripping lung. The pain was even more intense than the underworld's lightning whip. The white-haired man could not control himself, and his body flew backward, shooting towards the outermost area of the whirlpool. Baby! The elder's expression changed instantly. Why bother with him? He's just an idiot. I helped him out of kindness, but he didn't even say a word of thanks. He should be a mute. However, just as the elder was about to make a move, the souls beside him stopped him, causing the elder to sigh repeatedly. He could only watch as the white-haired man was torn apart by the whirlpool. Ah, so painful. Who am I? You, senior sister you, Lei Gong, everyone. The white-haired man kept roaring, and his soul seemed to be dissipating. He was getting closer and closer to the whirlpool behind him. Myriad silver light. Suddenly, the white-haired man shouted coldly, and a powerful force burst out from his body, forcefully stopping the speed of his flying backward, floating at the edge of the whirlpool. His eyes kept flashing, and memories surged into his soul like an ocean, strengthening his soul. He came from the ancient Face sect, from the rainforest sacred ground. He was Lin Ling, the master of the universe. He was also the host of the world's will. And in his most previous life, he was one of the creators. Rumble! The white-haired man's soul kept shaking, and gradually, his eyes regained their calmness. However, in the depths of his eyes, there was an incomparable coldness spreading. His gaze swept across the entire whirlpool, and all the souls looked at him, and their souls were all trembling. So cold. This sentence floated in the hearts of all the souls. Underworld, I'm actually in the underworld. The white-haired man muttered to himself, I'm Lin Ling. Lin Ling, you're awake. At the same time, a voice rang in his heart, and Lin Ling was shocked. Guang Chengzi? That's right. The square prison is still in your soul. Moreover, although your soul seems dim, it still hides two powerful forces. One is the host of the world will, and the other is something that even we can't detect clearly. The four directions prison is hidden in there, avoiding the detection of the netherworld. Guang Chengzi's voice sounded, I'm sorry for not being able to help you that day. Hearing this, Lin Ling's heart warmed. After going through so much, his heart was cold. But now that he had met a friend again, his heart was filled with warmth. I want revenge. Wan Guang killed my family and friends. I want to destroy his holy ocean city and plunge everyone into misery and suffering. Lin Ling suddenly said coldly. I know that with your character, you will definitely want to take revenge. But now, you need to grow up and find the secrets of the Netherworld. If you can return from the Netherworld, you will definitely be able to take revenge for the annihilation of your clan. Guang Chengzi's voice floated over. Both the Taoist and I are helping you with this matter. Taoist. Lin Ling's eyes flashed. He guessed that it was the green-robed Taoist from the square prison. Thank you. Lin Ling couldn't help but whisper. He closed his eyes and recalled the scene on the third floor of the Dao Pagoda. Finally, he took a deep breath and slowly opened his eyes. All the blood feuds were deeply engraved in his heart. Rice had to be eaten one bite at a time. What he needed to do now was to take the nether ores and leave this place and strive to make his soul stronger. Only when his soul became stronger could he use his former means. Especially the power of faith and the 3 ultimate universe break. These were his only means in the netherworld. And if he wanted to use the 3 ultimate universe break, a strong soul force was indispensable. As for the power of faith, he didn't need it. But now, because his soul was too weak, it was difficult to activate. Thinking of this, Lin Ling strode toward the center of the vortex. At this moment, there were a large number of powerful souls collecting the nether ores. You didn't die? The soul that had driven away Lin Ling was surprised to see Lin Ling's arrival. Get lost or I'll kill you. Then, he shouted in a low voice. Baby, be careful. In the distance, the old man was also surprised and then shouted in worry. However, after Lin Ling's memory returned, his soul was more condensed than before. He could activate the most basic cosmic ray. He didn't use the demon vanquishing break and only maintained the state of activation. This caused the soul in front of him to tremble. Lin Ling's big hand reached out and grabbed the soul's neck. You. The soul was incomparably shocked. He knew that this white-haired man was a newcomer and his soul was not condensed at all. He had even attacked before, but the other party couldn't block the power of his soul. However, in a short period of time, the white-haired man's soul had actually exploded. Spare me, spare me. The soul begged for mercy and trembled. Dang! Lin Ling coldly shouted and pressed forward with his soul. Boom! The soul in his hand exploded and dissipated like a dense fog. The surrounding souls were all shocked. Was he dead? Was his soul forever gone? Lin Ling didn't care about these souls. Looking at the dissipating fog, he silently chanted the Chaos Divine formula. Gradually, a wisp of fog was absorbed by Lin Ling and merged with Lin Ling's soul. I can still use the Chaos Divine formula in the netherworld. Is it because I'm in soul form? However, my soul has become slightly stronger. Lin Ling thought to himself. In the netherworld, it was very difficult to strengthen one's soul. It relied on endless time. However, with the Chaos Divine formula, Lin Ling suddenly found a shortcut. Die! He looked at the other souls in front of him and attacked crazily. Sir! Those souls were all shocked. Unfortunately, Lin Ling's face was cold and he ignored them. In order to become stronger, he didn't hesitate to do anything. Moreover, he never thought of himself as a good person. In this universe where the strong preyed on the weak, he could attack anyone for his family and friends. Die! Lin Ling continued to kill the souls in front of him and used the Chaos Divine formula to devour their souls. You're crazy. You dare to kill your own people. Where did this guy come from? Why is his soul so powerful when he just arrived? Moreover, why is he killing us? Could it be that we can help him become stronger? All the souls were greatly alarmed. However, Lin Ling didn't care at all. The powerful souls in front of him were all killed by him and he continued to strengthen his own soul. Baby! Lin Ling only stopped when the old man behind him cried out in fear. He gave face to the old man. He strode forward and went to collect the ore. Wherever he passed, all the souls made way for him. They were completely afraid of this white-haired man. In the eyes of the souls, the white-haired man was as terrifying as Xianxia. Soon, Lin Ling got the ore. It was a 5-meter-long ore. He dragged it out but it was still very strenuous. He suddenly thought of Xianxia who had whipped him and a cold smile appeared on his face. That Xianxia was definitely going to die.